Howdy, ho, 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 my good people. How are y'all doing? This is Game and Ramble. We're mid-year. We're halfway through the 2025 season, and today we're going to be doing our 2025 mid-year video game playoffs, whatever the hell that means. Jeffrey is joining me here today. Happy to have you back in the building, man. Hope you are doing well, my friend.
Hello, hello. That's good to see you both, Brandon, Loon. I'm glad to be with you guys. We were talking before we started. It's just been fun from the sidelines, kind of watching you guys grow and have a community. And you guys started a Patreon channel membership, so I'll shout it out for you. But so it's just cool to watch you guys grow. And hey, thanks for having me. It's fun just to talk about games, and you guys are experts at it. So I'll try to have a little bit of expertise, but it's going to be fun. So thanks for having me. And I don't have anything else funny or creative to say. So
Dude, I'm pumped to have you on. I was thinking about this. It's kind of ties all the way back to last year. I had been thinking about this exact format since the last time we came together and did our collective game of the year for 2024. I was like, damn, this playoff style matchup seeding system, whatever you want to call it, would make a whole lot more sense than just arbitrarily trying to assign numbers to games. So I was like, I think this would be a whole lot of fun. So I'm happy to have you in here, man. As we go through and we have to settle some debates. Loon, how are you feeling? Are you prepared? Do you got your dukes up? Are you ready? Are your boxing gloves strapped to the wrists?
let's see your
Yeah,
fist, Loon. Come on.
yeah. That first matchup isn't inspiring confidence. Um, so
Well,
that's that's
there's a
that's
matchup.
sad.
There's a matchup at the bottom I saw, and I'm like, well, there's just no, that's gonna make me laugh. So there's gonna be some of these matchups that I'm like, yeah, like that one on the bottom left. I'm like, come on, like I chose the other game, and I'm like, what are we doing here, Brandon? What are you doing here, man? You're throwing me under the rug here, you know? So
So I should say before we jump into it, I'm gonna shuffle the seating around. I'm gonna hit
oh,
shuffle like three or four times, so we're not gonna have any idea the order of the matchups. And I guess
ooh,
I can go ahead and do this here. That's
dun dun, drum roll. Brrr.
one shuffle,
Ooh,
two
oh,
shuffles,
ah.
three shuffles,
Oh, this is nerve wracking. I feel the tension. I wet myself.
four shuffles,
Maybe that's because I'm almost 40, but
five shuffles. All right. So we'll stop there with five.
oh
Don't even know the
gosh.
matchups. Gonna go into this presentation mode here to remove all the ads from the screen so that hopefully people at home can all right, let me
Ooh.
see here.
I'm excited to see the games. I think doing these kind of things and seeing your guys' videos, excited to see the games that you guys choose because it's so easy to get in your own lane with the own games you play. So it's always fun to see what everyone else plays and get an idea. So I think that's going to selfishly be fun for me to see your guys' games.
Absolutely, man. Well, I guess we can go ahead and start it off. I was thinking about
Mhm.
okay, well, the matchup mode's not working. I'm clicking use matchup mode and it's not popping up. So I guess we're not
Rude.
using matchup mode. Or let me try one more time. I think
Did the
that
shuffle break it?
maybe yeah,
The
I think
shuffle.
the okay,
Come on,
now if we
shuffle.
keep presentation mode. Yep, okay, cool. We're good to go.
Hey,
All
this
right.
is cool.
So what we're going to be doing here is pitting the games against one another and seeing what game we're halfway through the year, what game is going to come out victorious. All three of us have to agree, or it's really not all three of us. Two outweighs the one, so whatever game gets the two votes moves on. And just a simple sort of mathematic equation here will settle the score.
Whoa,
And
whoa,
first,
whoa. You didn't tell me we had to do math before we came here. I wouldn't have agreed to this crap.
It's meant to be fun, man. Come on.
Yeah, not school. Where's the
uh,
homework? Ugh,
well,
rude.
Uh, we're only going to be dealing in twos and ones here, so
Too much.
hopefully that's not too much.
We'll see.
That's my expertise. You say the ones and twos for me all the time.
There
Unfair.
you go.
So first up, we got Pilo and the Hollowbook. Is that correct? Pico and the Hollowbook. Pilo.
I don't know if it's Pilo or Pilo. There's no voice acting. I don't think so. I just however you want to say it.
Well, Pilo is going up against Mr. Atomfall, and so Jeffrey, I think this is you and I. Loon, have you played Atomfall yet?
No, it was one that slipped through my fingers. It came out in what, February, right?
Yeah, it's a Game
around about
Pass
then.
title. I think
Oh
it's
yeah.
still on Game Pass if I'm not mistaken. I really enjoyed
Mm.
Atomfall a good deal. I listen, I don't think it's like in my top, probably not even in my top 10, somewhere in my top 10, top 12 favorite games of the year so far. So I'm going into this with like some deal of passion into this first round. But Jeffrey, Pilo in the Hollowbook. Is there any passion in your soul for this game?
Yeah, I mean, I've anyone that's seen any of the stuff I've done on the channel with you guys is I certainly like the bigger AAA, but I also like a really tiny indie game. You know, I like to support those smaller games. And the older I get, I feel like for me to dive into a massive game just feels near impossible. If I could wrap up a game in 5 hours, 4 hours, less than 10 hours, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So with Pilo and the Hollow Book, it was just this little game I kind of played on a whim. Essentially, it's this cozy, cartoony game where you play this little fox guy who helps this professor out, the scientist, and you kind of fly through this little zone, this space zone, and you essentially are just cataloging all of the findings. So there's no combat, there's no action. It's very much a relaxing game where you want to uncover the mysterious story and like why there's this darkness in this universe basically, but it's just charming. And the whole point of the game is this hollow book, which you can upgrade. And essentially you're taking like pictures and snapshots and getting stickers of all of the different like items within each zone. And that kind of helps to uncover the world and the lore and figure out why this darkness has taken over. So it's a very simple game. It's a little buggy, it's a little janky, but you know, it's a 3, 4 hour game. I really liked it. This for me is a tough one because I did play Atomfall, but it wasn't. Atomfall was one I was super pumped about, honestly, but it just didn't. I don't know. Even though the setting was super cool, it just didn't stick. I couldn't. You know how I don't know if you guys can experience. You jump into a game and you're trying it out for a couple hours, and you so badly want to like it, but you're just not. You're just not into it. You're just not thinking about it, right?
Totally.
That's kind of what happened with Atomfall. So I
Yeah.
I don't have a massive amount of passion either way for these games. So I kind of
Yeah.
want to go off of if you have more passion, I guess, Brandon or Loon, if you have thoughts on it.
I so Atomfall for me, like, and once again, we don't have to spend too long kind of whenever it's not a big kind of debate passion off contest, we ain't got to spend too long discussing each matchup. I'd be fine with Pilo Pilo going forward. Atomfall is a game that I think it's doing a lot of really interesting things, and I think it has a lot of glaring flaws, like the combat isn't great, but I do think there's a lot of ways to get around that stuff. Like I never really engaged with combat. I tried to always strategize how to not be in combat, but that is once again, that is that because the combat just isn't good, so I kind of wanted to avoid it. Primarily that, you know. So, um, yeah, I'm fine with Pilo going forward. I think you might be a little bit more passionate about Pilo than I am about Atomfall. I really do like Atomfall a good bit, but it's not, you know, it's not like one of my top games of the year.
I would actually do the opposite. I would say let's go with Atomfall in the sense that I think it's a little bit more of a beloved game. I know it's what we're thinking, but I can understand this was a game that just wasn't my cup of tea. A lot of that came down to the pathfinding. I couldn't figure out where to go. I understand on the map it kind of shows you, but listen, I'm at the stage where if a game literally doesn't hold my hand and tell me where to go, I can't. I'm not smart enough to figure it out. I need the Dead Space, you know, trail that tells me exactly where to go. So. It the Pilo and the Hollow Book is fun, but it has a lot of issues. I got frustrated numerous times. It was fun for what it was, but I would think Atomfall would be the overall better game, even though it's different. But so maybe we should just go with that one. That makes more sense, I think, logically.
Well, how about we go to Loon? Loon,
Okay,
is from a completely unbiased perspective, someone who hasn't played either of these games, from the
I
discussion you're hearing,
yeah.
what would you choose?
there you go.
I mean, I quickly looked up Pilo. It looks fun, and then obviously we had a decent amount of interest in Adam for obviously never pulled the trigger on it, but I think I would probably personally give it to Adamful because it's good to see Rebellion actually come out of their comfort zone as well. That's what needs to be commended is that they've sat in Sniper Elite, its little pocket for how long? Even when they went out of the comfort zone with Strange Brigade, that was
Mhm.
Hmm.
still the heavy bones of Sniper Elite. So I'll
Okay.
give it to Adamful.
So Adam Falcon move on into the next round, and now we are heading into a
This hurts
uh
my soul.
yeah,
This
this is gonna be rough,
this is
man.
tough.
Expedition 33 versus Tales of Iron 2. I will firmly stand in the Expedition 33 camp. I think that's one of the great games of the generation, without a doubt. As somebody who doesn't like JRPGs much at all, I was totally captivated by this thing from front to back, and I think the combat is just tremendous. I can't give enough praise to this game. I think it's kind of like one of the definitive games of the year for sure. So Expedition 33 would get my vote. Um, Jeffrey, Tales of Iron 2. How are you feeling about it going up against 33?
I don't think for me, it's Expedition 33. I absolutely adore Tales of Iron 2. The first game has a special place in my heart because it was one of the first bigger
Mm,
indie things back in the day that I got to like kind of work with more, which was exciting. But and they made Whiskers of Winter a little bit easier, which again I appreciate because I'm a pansy and I can't handle hard games. But Expedition 33, I'm not going to harp on. It's truly just I've never been so immersed in a turn-based combat and story, and it's just whatever's been said has already been said. It's a truly phenomenal game. So as much as I love both, when I want to support indies, Expedition 33 is just a cut above anything. And for a first time game, I know the developers worked at other places, obviously, but like for a first time studio game, holy cow, it's good. So what
Yeah.
about you, Lou?
it was my favorite game of probably the past two generations. Um,
Wow.
just absolutely phenomenal. When we sat and talked about like the deep dive review and stuff like that, I don't think I could have given it any more praise than I did. So,
Yeah.
but that is unfortunate that Tales of Iron 2 had to come up against it because it is something I didn't play a lot of it in the end. My interest was pulled elsewhere, but I
Mhm.
loved that first game. That first game was amazing.
They streamlined a lot for Whiskers of Winter in the sense of it's not as much of a Metroidvania. Like the
Mm,
first one was obviously more of like a Souls like Metroidvania. They kind
yeah,
of streamed that back to more of like areas, but in doing that, they made the combat even more robust. They made the story and world building like even more tuned in. They're both kind of different games that can be held upon their
yeah.
own. But yeah, the entirety of Whiskers of Winters is shorter, so I would say try to finish it when you get a chance, Loon, because it does
Okay.
kind of veer into different territory than the first one. But it's hard to argue with Expedition 33. I mean, come on, it's a phenomenal
Yeah.
game.
So, sounding like all three going for 33, the
Mm.
numerology strikes again. Doom the Dark Ages versus Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Um, this is really an interesting matchup. I I've played both of these games. Golly, yeah, I think I lean Kingdom Come Deliverance too. Doom obviously has more like fun, flashy combat. I think you're gonna have more fun playing Doom in terms of the gameplay experience. But I think Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 still might have my favorite story of the year, my favorite overall narrative of the year. Expedition 33 is excellent, but like if I had to pick one or the other for the story, I think I'm still going Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, an immaculately told narrative. So I think I'm leaning KCD 2 over Doom the Dark Ages. Loon, how are you feeling about this matchup?
Yeah, it's another one that's kind of rough, but I don't know. I finished because you didn't finish it, did you, in the end, Brandon? You backed out of it, I
Doom.
believe.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
played about 6, 7 hours, and I was like, I think I get it. It
Yeah.
is awesome, but it's like I get it.
Yeah, the things that they obviously showed off in the trailers where they were puffing their chest with, here's a dragon, here's that they kind of they were pretty underbaked for what they were. They're very, very simplistic. Like even though like the mech is fun and stuff like that, it's like a
Yep.
free button thing. And it's the thing as well where it's very, very forgiving, which isn't kind of normal for a Doom game, especially after coming off of Eternals DLC where they absolutely beat the shit out of you, for even looking at it in a different way. It was kind of weird. I would probably lean towards Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, even though I've not played it. It's obviously I know what the first game is, played the hell out of that, and it just looks like more of that. Right, Doom the Dark Ages, yeah, fell a little bit short for me. So
Okay. So Jeffrey, do you have any feelings one way or the other on this one, or
I've played both. I mean, on paper, both these games appeal to me in a sense. I only played a few hours of Doom: The Dark Ages, though. I bounced off it. I don't know. Again, everything on paper is what is. I love the whole, medieval theme. I love the whole, dark fantasy, whatever you want to call it, hellish themes, like that stuff was really cool. But it just didn't stick. It didn't stick. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, I played the trial on PlayStation Plus, which I think was
Mm.
5 hours. That opening, I was hooked. I just didn't end up buying it right away because, again, I'm going to say a billion times this video, I'm just not good at not knowing what to do. I don't have the patience to figure it out. So I was a little scared to pull the trigger on spending 60, $70 if I just would end up getting stuck. But that game was, once it's a little cheaper, it's going to be a no-brainer. So for me, it would definitely be Kingdom Come Deliverance. It seems absolutely phenomenal from what I played. So
Did you
Yeah,
play the first one?
yeah, I do have the first one, but again, Loon, I got to like 5 hours in. I'm like, I don't know where to go, and I can't be bothered. So it's frustrating because I'm just not good enough for those games. But did you finish that? Did you finish the first one?
Yeah, played the hell out of the first one.
How do
Um,
you like the first compared to the second one? Or wait, you said you haven't played the
I
second one
didn't
yet.
I didn't play the yeah because it released was that March for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2?
yeah, it was early.
Okay.
Yeah, and it kind of stuffed in with Pirate Yakuza, Monster Hunter, what, and it was just a ridiculous, you know, release window, and it's just like that just fell through the cracks, and it still hasn't been picked up because I'm also keeping in my mind there's no point in me going and buying it full price now when you've looked back at the first game. And boy, did that it just fell in value. And when they put all the DLCs out, it's still they're selling all the DLCs for that game and the game for
Mhm.
like, £5. So
Oh yeah,
I can wait. I'm patient.
nice,
Absolutely. Yeah. And
good choice.
I'm going to push back, Jeffrey, on the idea that you're not good enough for these games or it really is just time, man. It really solely just comes down to time. The amount of time that you have available to dedicate to something is going to be the determining factor of like, there, I bring this up all the time. I have buddies who work grueling jobs doing construction and stuff like that. They don't play any of this stuff. And they liked
Right.
this stuff back in the day. They come home and play Fortnite, 2K, Call of Duty because it is absolute brain just you
Yeah.
do not have to engage with it and you've been engaged on such a 10 hours, 12 hours of your day, your brain is like out of juice. So give yourself a little bit of credit, man. It's just how much time you have to dedicate to something. So I want to give you a little bit of credit there.
Brandon, I appreciate it, but I feel like we're setting up false expectations. I have time. Oh, I have time. I have time. But when I'm told like, okay,
He needs the fable, the dust. That's
yep,
what he needs. He
yep, when
needs
I'm told to go out in the world and just got to solve it, I can't do that in the real world. If I wasn't married, I would be just like wandering the streets, like running into walls or something. It's insane. So I appreciate the credit, but to your point, I think again that's why as you get older or as your taste change,
Yeah.
I guess it's not just age, of course, but when your taste change, sometimes a game that you can just wrap up again in like 4 hours and just feel like there's that sense of
Yeah.
accomplishment. If unless you're truly immersed,
Yep.
like you were saying, Loon, about the first Kingdom Come, unless you're truly immersed, then that feels like 4 hours because it's just flying by, right? So it just depends on your personal preference, I guess. But
Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah. And kind of speaking to that, Despelote here going up against Blueprints. This is one of those really weird matchups where Despelote is kind of just falling into my personal taste right now because I am leaning towards your direction where it's like, man, I just do not have it in me a lot of the time to sit down and really want to invest and spend 50 hours with something. And Blueprints, as much as I like it, I really do like Blueprints a lot. Man, you get to a certain point with that RNG where you're just like, I know what I need to do, but this RNG just is not working in my favor. I think I probably spent 15 plus hours with it. And
oh,
it like every now and then I would get a really good roll and I would be right there and it's like I found out exactly what I need to do for the next run, but I feel like I'm waiting 4 or 5 hours to get the right roll again so that I can have the run that I need to run. Where with Despelote, it's just such a great personalized slice of life story showing the importance of soccer in Ecuador in this specific time period. And I felt a kind of cultural sort of understanding about a place that I've never been to. I felt like I really got so much more out of that very small experience opposed to the 15 plus hours I spent with Blueprints. I appreciate Blueprints a lot. Blueprints is a much better video game in terms of design sensibility, but in terms of what I got out of it, I would have to go Despelote here.
What is the gameplay of Despelote? I've seen it pop up, but I don't know anything about it. I have tried Blueprints, but what is the actual like? What do you kind of do? I guess.
So you pretty much it's all revolving around soccer. You're going to school and you're seeing kind of like a 10 plus year evolution of this main character. You're going to school, you're playing soccer, you're going home, you're watching soccer. It's all about
Hmm.
it's just a Loon, you might be a little bit more versed in this because you have a much deeper understanding of the sport than I do. But in this specific period, that was the first time that Ecuador had made the World Cup, or they had.
So I wouldn't be able to comment if it's the first time that they made it, but it's a massive thing. I know it was the 2002 World Cup when Ecuador went through and were able to qualify, and that's the big thing is that you have the World Cup is every single national team. They're duking out, but you have qualifiers that happen before you get to the actual tournament. So there's tons of teams that never make that cut. So it's a very, very competitive, you know, footballing tournament. And the fact that they made it through is incredible because usually it's dominated whenever you hear of South American teams going through, it's Brazil, it's Uruguay, and stuff like that. Argentina recently won it. So to have them kind of break through and do that, that was incredible for them. And
Yeah.
it's because you'd have news outlets that would focus on teams like that when it's a small team that the underdogs, the dark horses and stuff. You can end up rooting for them because when your national team goes out, you have no ties to anything else. So you end up rooting for them if they're overperforming. It's like hell yeah, man, let's go Ecuador.
Right. Yeah, yeah. And so I guess like the main kind of gameplay is really yeah, it's just mainly first person kicking the ball, playing soccer throughout the streets and just a really, really beautiful experience. There's like arcade games you can play and or not arcade games, but like a little video game console. But in the video game console, guess what you're playing? A video game of soccer. It's like
That's
it's just,
awesome.
yeah, it's just it showed the cultural impact that that sport brought. And there's also like some corrupt kind of politicians getting involved and trying to manipulate. It's much more than just like soccer, soccer, soccer. Like it shows
Right.
this character kind of growing. It's a lot more than just soccer, but it is the core is absolutely focusing in on soccer.
This is what I love about, and not that this isn't the case with a lot of triple A's or double A's, again, in the case of Claire Obscure, but about these artistic indies, of which there are so many, because you just feel the soul in a lot of them. You feel that soul, you feel the heart where they just want to tell a story. There's a game I'm playing right now, a little indie game called Sainthood, and it's about Catholicism and religion, which is very important to me. But the way it's portrayed is very respectful and reverent, but it's a fun gameplay loop. They managed to do that. And so I think that's what's cool about like what you're saying with Despelote, that it has that. I haven't played it. It does sound cool. I only played about an hour or two of Blueprints. Really cool idea. I'm just not a roguelite person. And again, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. So I don't really have a good comment on it. So I guess I might have to leave it up to you two, unless you need me to like fill in for. I guess I'd go Despelote based on what you said. I just don't have a good bearing on either of these. So
Loon, how much of Blueprints have you played?
I didn't touch it.
Okay.
From what I had heard, it was obviously very, very well received. People
Hmm.
loved it. But upon hearing it's like a puzzle room thing, I couldn't care less. Like you're talking like I don't care how well that's executed. Like it's the type that's a gameplay mechanic that I tolerate in games. So when that's going to be the main driving factor for the, I couldn't care. Like the things like the witness and stuff like that, it appeals to some
mm,
people. Or was it Mist, the
mhm.
big one back in the day?
Yep.
Mist, Riven, yeah, all those
And
like yeah.
stuff like that. It's just like I appreciate them for what they are, but I have zero interest in ever like I will never boot that game up to even look at it. It's just the type of thing where I'll admire it from afar. Zero
Yeah.
interest in engaging with it.
I'm in the same boat as you on that, Loon, for sure. So, Brandon, if you, I guess it's more if you have the passion for either of these since you've put time into both. So, what's your passion for them?
Definitely
Go.
There, nice. That's awesome. Cool, cool,
Despelote for sure. Yeah, that game was really that definitely stuck with me.
nice, awesome.
And I guess kind of directly opposite, a game that did not stick with me at all, Avowed going up against Mario Kart World. Before we really get into this, I do want to say I think Avowed has some of the best first person combat in the history of first person combat. I think this game plays, feels, moves incredibly, incredibly well. It just has no story hooks whatsoever. Like whatsoever for me. And Mario Kart World, I know that's Jeffrey. I know you've been playing this on the Switch too. Um, how are you feeling about Mario Kart World?
So I don't want to again just reiterate what everyone else on the internet said. I do. The game itself is incredibly. I mean, it shouldn't come as a surprise. It's incredibly polished. It's incredibly playable and fun. I mainly wanted to get it so my wife and I could play it together because we enjoy these kind of games. It's just a blast. It's just fun. The amount of times we just have a smile on our face driving around, doing knockout tour. The free roam, the open world stuff is incredibly lifeless. There's just nothing to it apart
Yeah.
from just the sheer exploration. It just feels like a half baked idea. But again, if you're just going into this for Mario Kart, it's phenomenal. My issues, though, which isn't going to sound surprising, is it's not an $80 game. I'm all for if a game needs to be more expensive because of XYZ reasons, but after playing this for the last 2-ish weeks, I didn't get it right at launch. I kind of feel like we've already seen everything.
Mm,
Like I want to play because it's fun. It's just an absolute blast to play. It's fun. It's polished. It has tons of joy. Like it just makes you happy. It's
right.
really good. The online's good, but like we've already got everything. And I'm like, well, there I can get an indie game for like $15 that has exponentially more content and things to work for and do. And this just feels like it feels to me like it's almost a live service game that comes out in like early access. And then there's
Ah,
not there's it's really good. Like maybe it's really polished, but there's nothing else beyond the first couple weeks. Right. And so I do think it's phenomenal. I think it's a lot of fun. I just feel like, wait a minute, I thought there'd be a lot more
mm,
for $80, and it makes me a little bit nervous.
Because this was
So
the launch exclusive as well, right? This
yeah.
was the big name that they tied with the system, which is kind
yeah,
of
correct.
surprising.
The
Because if it
first
was
$80 game
if it
as
was
well. Yeah.
me, it'd be you'd probably want to do that with Donkey Kong more so
Well,
than this.
so that's kind of what there's a lot of the rhetoric online, and whether it's true or not, is that maybe Donkey Kong Bonanza was in theory supposed to be the launch title because when you watch the trailers and the directs for that, it's loaded to the brim with
Mm.
just constant things to do. Where Mario Kart, even when they did the second direct, was like, okay, yeah, we just saw all that. Like, what are you showing again? And again, I'm not trying to disparage the game because it is very, 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 very polished and fun. No doubt, there's no issues, no bugs, anything. It's just a flawless experience. But if you're as a company kind of being like, we're going to charge the most we've ever charged for a
Yeah.
base level game, wouldn't you in your mind as a player be like, well, that's going to be stuffed with content and stuff to do where you're busy for months and months and months. 2, 3 weeks after the launch, most people, from what I've heard, are kind of like, well, I'm going to jump into it a couple times a week, but there's really nothing else to it. Um, Worth
Yeah.
playing for sure, but it should have been a $50, $60 game without a doubt.
Mm.
So,
It's interesting. I think Nintendo, I think their business is I for one, I always give them props, even though I'm not a Nintendo fan. I just think they are business geniuses, literally. To spread this out to have Mario Kart there as like that's the big game. And then you have Donkey Kong a month later, and it's like you don't want to cannibalize each other, so you spread it. I just think they're so smart, and to have a kind of must-play title sitting there day one for the Switch 2, really, really just genius business move. But like you said, the being a little bit light in the ass on content is. I still think if you're comparing these two games, I'm probably going Mario Kart World over Avowed. I just think that when you're looking at how when you're looking at how just awful, in my opinion, the story is for a RPG, a story driven game. It's like I'm gonna have a hard time giving you my vote. The first person melee combat, the magic spells in one hand, sword in the other hand, like it's so sick. But it's a role playing game, and the story has to be good in a role playing game, and then it just is so 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 mediocre. Loon, how are you feeling about this matchup?
Yeah, I would probably tip towards Mario Kart 1.
okay.
Um, they dropped the ball with the story. They also bugged my game out. They still haven't
Mm,
fixed it.
Wait,
So
really?
they
What happened with that? What happened?
I made it to like the beginning of like Act 3,
Oh no.
and there's this like fort thing, and I arrived there. They were bigging it up as like, all right, this is the massive fight, and then there's just all NPCs standing there. So they've spawned in, but they're just not doing anything.
Oh
I
no.
was like, okay, that's kind of weird. I was like, okay, I'll just walk through the gate. No, you can't interact with the gate. Okay, that's kind of weird. I'll rest. Nothing happened. Ended up going through their support, and they said that they would fix it. And we're in what, July,
Oh no.
and it still
Oh,
isn't fixed.
that sucks.
So heartbreak.
Jesus.
Oh, that
That
sucks, man. That is brutal, especially that far into the game too.
yeah, that is absolutely fucking awful, man.
But I'll buy you some time to what did you do?
No, you're good. I just gotta head back to the presentation mode. I've figured
Because
out the
yeah,
little
they dropped the ball in the story as well, big
yeah.
time. This is like coming from a big Pillars fan. They didn't. It has no ties to Pillars really at all. Like very vaguely, they didn't utilize that world whatsoever. It's literally just the combat. And if that's what we're doing, gameplay versus gameplay, Mario Kart also has great gameplay, but
Hmm.
also infinitely more replayability, whereas Avowed does not.
So Mario Kart World
Yeah.
sounding like it moves on.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, I was excited. Avowed was one of my most anticipated this year, and then just to echo what you guys said, it just I was so pumped to download and start it, and I was like, well, cool combat. I feel nothing for any of the rest of the game, so I dropped out after like 3 hours, which sucks because again, it so much potential. And I was excited to hear what you had to say, Loon, especially because I know how big of an Obsidian both of you are, but obviously Loon, I know with your history with
Massive,
those games. So
massive letdown.
yeah,
Thankfully, Expedition 33 saved it this year for me. So
phenomenal game.
Game Pass
Well,
giveth and Game Pass taketh away.
Exactly.
we move into our next matchup, and this is not a favorable one for me, unfortunately. My favorite indie game of the year is going up against Majima as he goes off on his pirating quest throughout Hawaii for some reason. Listen, I'm going Cabernet on this one by a fairly long shot, I think. It's just and I'll go ahead and ding it so that you guys don't have to and y'all don't have to break my heart. It's a broken buggy thing. Like when it came out, it was literally unfinishable for probably a good month or two before I could go back into it, download the patches and finish the damn game. But I just think a vampire role-playing game that really gives you the depth and the choice and the consequence for your actions, like that's the stuff that people really have been waiting for, and there's just nothing on the market that's kind of doing what this game is doing. Getting to zip around and transform into a bat, and you got to go throughout the town and drink the blood of the townspeople, but also not get caught. And you're developing relationships, and you got like a central main quest, but there's so many little side things to go and do. It's just such a good little vampire RPG. I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed Yakuza a lot, man. I really, really like that game a good deal as well. The DMC styled combat, badass. So, so, so fun. The naval combat, getting my ship and my pirates together, my band of misfits that I'm building and recruiting people, and they're both great, but I would go Cabernet. Cabernet would get my choice. Loon, how are you feeling about these two?
So have you played it out of curiosity, Jeffrey? Yakuza?
Which
Or Yakuza?
no, you know how there's like certain series that you
Mm.
just for whatever reason, not even a good reason, just don't have any interest in. For me, it's Yakuza. I love pirate games, just any sort of pirate games, even if they're bad. But I've heard only good things about this. But no, I have zero interest. So that's why I was excited to hear what you have to say about it.
Okay.
Before I talk
I
about
think
Cabernet.
this is gonna shock you, Brandon. I actually didn't like it all that much.
Wow.
I don't know what it is. The playing through the combat, it just didn't feel good for me. I didn't like what the moment to moment feeling with him felt like. I felt like when you played him in Zero, he felt really fun to play. They also introduced him. You had, I'm trying to think of the name. It was Gaiden, I think, that spin-off one where he's doing like agent things and stuff. You were able to use him in a side spin-off thing, and that still felt good. I couldn't click with his combat this time. I don't know what it was. The pirate naval combat felt good and what I would have expected, but his actual combat I was a little bit disappointed. And it's kind of been the thing where I've sat there and been like, man, that stings because obviously I love him as a character. I'll probably brute force my way through it in the coming months and stuff like that. But it's probably sitting alongside like Judgment for me and in like a weaker, it feels for me like a weaker entry into the series, personally.
What about the combat? Having never played the other games, for me, what about the combat made it feel not as? I know some games
Um,
are turn-based, right? And some are like action or whatever. So what made it
yeah,
feel
that's
different?
fairly that's a fairly new change. A lot of the
Okay,
it was only we've only had two entries with the turn-based, which I personally do prefer. I will say that. Maybe
gotcha.
there's a bit of bias leaking in through there, but I've played all the other ones and enjoyed the combat. So, but this one it felt floaty, like you said with the DMC, the juggling. You had a lot of juggling that you was doing with Majima in this game. It's not really my style of thing. I love Kiryu's like really hulking. Like when he hits someone, it feels like he's hitting with the force of like a van behind it. Like it's very very meaty. But for me, I'd probably tip towards Cabernet because it looked interesting from what you showed, and it's something that I want to get into, but I was a little bit hesitant because you said about the bugs and stuff like that, and it released also around Avowed, so I was already burned on bugs. So I was like, man, I'm not jumping into like another bug filled game and not being able to finish it. So it'll be something that I jump into later this year, but I'm more excited to jump into that and begin it than going back to Pirate Yakuza.
Wow.
Jeffrey, what did you've played Cabernet?
So it's funny because on paper, Cabernet is the perfect game for me. It has like this dark, moody, gothic vibes. I love any vampire game. I love any pirate game too, though. But man, yeah, I played a demo because there was either a demo or a trial or something. I don't remember Xbox or PlayStation. Boy, that game was a disaster on launch. And I think that's what put me off of it because the world was so cool. I loved it. But then the screen tearing and the juddering and like it just I'm like, this just isn't playable. I
Yeah.
know it's not even a demanding game because it's not a point and click, but it has those feelings of it at times. So I was like, how is this running so poorly and how hasn't it not been optimized well enough? So I so badly want to play it, but then when I heard you talking about it in one of your videos, that made me so pumped. But then I was like, I need to wait and see and hope this gets fixed one day. So yeah, I only put about half an hour in, but those issues were way too egregious at the beginning. But it
Yeah.
sounds like from what you're saying, they've been fixed now, some of them or
Yeah,
all of them.
it's so there are still side quests that are broken, at least in my last playthrough, which was probably 2 months ago at this point. I'm gonna go back to it. I keep it installed. It's like the one game I don't delete from my console ever. Because you're having to constantly free up storage to make room for your next 100 GB fucking thing. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's like I've been like I just will not delete it because I know I'm going to go back to it, replay it. I also bought it on Xbox. I've heard that there might be worse issues on Xbox than
Mm.
PlayStation, so that could have once again impacted your experience negatively out the gate, which is a bummer. You said you played it on Xbox, right?
I can't remember. It was wherever there was a demo or a trial. I honestly don't remember, but I so badly, I was so pumped when I saw it, but then it just like, yeah, it's just so hard when a game, because it breaks the immersion, at least for me.
Yeah.
Tangentially, I don't know if either of you guys have heard of the game that came out like a week or two ago called Ruffy and the Riverside.
I don't think Is that the platformer?
It's like a puzzle platformer, but with like that really cool cell shaded cartoony aesthetic. It's been really touted in the indie community, but I bought it because I saw a video that said it was going to be running at 60 FPS on Switch 2, even though it's a Switch 1 version. Bought it on Switch, frame rate was terrible. I'm like, it just isn't fun. So then I bought it on PS5, which I regret now because I thought it'd run better. And there's this awful stuttering. It runs at a better frame rate, but there's like every time you turn the camera, it like jars the screen and it's almost like nausea inducing. So I bought two games on the same day of the same game and neither of them play well. And now I'm just like, I want to support it, but like it hasn't been updated yet to my knowledge. And I get it's only been maybe 10 days, but it's like, it's just hard for me to understand a world where you've been waiting for your game to release for years and years. And then it just seems like those things would be addressed, I would think, ahead of time, but I don't know how game development works.
Yeah.
So I get the point about Cabernet when you're frustrated when you want to finish it, you know. So
It's such a bummer because I was looking at that art style for that Ruffy game. That looks incredible. Like, so I'm gonna keep that on my radar, add it to the wish list. But and they have
Yeah.
awful refund policies. PlayStation and Nintendo and Xbox, they all need to get that together, man. Steam is
Yeah.
ahead of the curve on that. I So yeah, listen, man. I did end up finishing Cabernet. I was finally able to. They finally fixed at least the main story path. I would go Cabernet on this, but I totally recognize Pirate Yakuza as the better game, the more complete, polished experience. I had zero issues playing through Pirate Yakuza from front to back.
Yeah, I just got to be honest. Like, I can't sit there and be like, yeah, the Crush Cabernet because I'm a fan of the series. Like, I just didn't enjoy it. Um,
That blows me
gotta
away, Loon. When I saw this
gotta
pop
vote
up
it.
here, all part of me was like, "There's no doubt, Loon. From what I know of you, and you love these games, there was no doubt that I thought it wasn't going to win." So to
Yeah,
hear that is definitely shocking for me to hear that. Yeah.
yeah. It might be as well the thing that we also constantly bang on about, just time and
Time and
place.
place.
You know, it's I love the series, but it's not like I've been starved of the series. Like in the
Right.
past, what, 4 years, I've played 10 entries in that series.
Wow.
So
So going
Cabernet,
Cabernet. All right.
yeah, it'll also
cool.
make it interesting as well later on down the pecking order.
Gonna make it
And
tough for me.
it's cool that we have a mix so far of, again, indies, AAA, AA. We got a nice mix so far, which is awesome because it'll make it more, certainly more interesting. Yeah.
So this is a matchup I was looking forward to, or this is a type of matchup I was looking forward to. Two games I have not played, so I'm gonna have to sit back and listen to you guys, and then I get to be the judge, jury, and executioner here. So, Sniper Elite Resistance, I know that's a loon joint, correct?
Yep, that it is.
So take it away, man.
Um, hmm. So I will admit, of the ones that I put forward, this was a filler title. This is a game that I enjoyed parts of it, but I believe when I talked about it, whenever I finished it early in the year, I came away feeling that Rebellion, it's great that they did Atomfall. That's a step in the right direction, trying new things. For the Sniper Elite series, if they're going to keep going along with it, they do need to do a little bit of tweaking. There is some archaic, I don't even know how you describe, like, game design, I guess, at its core fundamentals. Like, just in a stealth game, crouching and going down a staircase shouldn't freeze me in place and lock me. Like, that's come on, guys, you've been making these types of games since the 360. It's kind of astonishing that it feels still as rough as it does. But it's a fun game. It is one of the things where it launched into Game Pass. It's the perfect kind of title for Game Pass. It's they benefit from that more than anything. I don't think that this probably sold all too well. And if they would have removed it from Game Pass, I think this would have just come and gone, and nobody really paid it any attention. So at least Rebellion got some money. But I'm actually interested in hearing about A Lost in Random. This is a sequel, right? This is a second game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. So I've played both of these to some extent. Never didn't finish either of them. I do echo what you said, Loon. The Resistance is a lot of fun, but it is strange. Like it does feel quite janky, which again, maybe that's just inherent with it being a smaller budget game, but it is quite janky, which I was surprised by given how many
Yeah.
they've done. I
Yeah.
fell off it after a few hours. Definitely fun for some arcadey fun, but not a lot of sticking power. Lost in
Yeah.
Random, yeah, this is a follow up, but it's a very different game. The first Lost in Random is um, an action adventure title with like you use this die to like do these sort of like board game type battles, whereas this one is actually a roguelite. I've said this before. I totally understand from an indie perspective why you would do a roguelite. I get that. For me, it's just one of those genres that I'm just ultimately very burned out on, tired of, just like Souls likes or whatever. So going into this, I was already hesitant because I just don't care about roguelites. I never feel like I'm getting anywhere. Dead Cells was really, honestly, the last one that I really jived with, which was years ago at this point. But that being said, this is the first roguelite in the last few years that's actually really hooked me. And that's because the story and the world about this whole Lost in Random is very like moody, spooky, kind of Tim Burton-y, so it just has a really cool aesthetic. It's incredibly polished. Like it is polished to a perfect T where it's so fast paced, a smooth 60 FPS, like your little movements as the queen or whatever. She's Princess Queen, I can't remember. She moves so fast and fluidly, never any hiccups, any mistakes that are made in the combat. So I should say it is a top down isometric, kind of like Hades, I guess. A lot of them are like a Hades kind of style, but it's just so polished on launch.
Huh.
I downloaded it day one on Game Pass. It's so clean, so polished. You could tell the amount of love, the voice acting, like it just comes across as such a really well made game. But again, it's still a roguelite. There's not much that deviates it from any other roguelite. You do the same thing. You get stronger, you die, you move on, beat a boss, come back, you build up your little base area. It's not anything you haven't seen. It's just unique in the game world that it is. It's one of these games I'll probably just jump into maybe every couple weeks and play a little bit. But I honestly don't have passion necessarily for either of these. So I'll be curious what you have to say, Brandon, having never played either of these, I guess.
Yeah, I added that to my wish list as soon as you were talking about voice acting and stuff like that because I'm kind of in the same boat as you where it's like I just have no real desire to play most roguelikes, but it's often because most roguelikes are the same exact thing as the last roguelike. You know what I mean? And you talking about there being a little bit of a step up in production quality, some voice acting, a little bit of a story hook to get you through. Like I need something other than just run after run, repeat run after run, do the same combat you did in the last 750 roguelikes. Like just that little bit of extra sauce really adds a lot to the appeal there for me. So I think I would go Lost in Random here. I like I said, added it to my wish list just based off that description. Whereas with Sniper Elite, what y'all are kind of describing to me sounds like the other Sniper Elite games that I've played, and they're all fine, but they're not
It's a,
doing
it's
anything
it's
to evolve.
arguably a step down as well for me.
Or they're just interchangeable to an extent.
Yeah.
Yeah, it felt like they cheaped out with this one as well, though, big time.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go with a Lost and Random.
Now
Lost.
again, I do want to be clear. The Eternal Die, as good as it is and polished as it is, it doesn't feel different than any other roguelite. The only things that really make it feel different are the production values, which are very good,
Yeah.
and the way that you slot in like abilities with your little die friend buddy, who like helps you get stronger. But it's not going to not feel different than a roguelite. It just happens to have extremely good production values, which does help if you are not interested in that genre, kind of like we talked about. So do keep that in mind at least. But it's on
Absolutely.
Game Pass, so hey, give it a shot at least. So if
Yeah.
you have it.
I'll check that out for sure now. Um, Soulstone Survivors versus the Precinct moving into our next matchup here. This is one where Loon and I are going to be going head to head, and Jeffrey is going to be getting to play the judge, and he's going to execute one of our games from existence. The Precinct for me is one of my favorite games of the year. I think it is absolutely phenomenal. I think that you have a lot of police sims out there. You've had a lot of them from years and years ago. When you think of your true crimes or when you think of, all the market is flooded nowadays with simulation this, any work, any job can be simulated in video game form nowadays seemingly and somehow can sell really well. But I think this is one that actually deserves to have the success that it's having because it's not only just a good simulation of being a police officer, it's a good video game. You know what I mean? Like it's a GTA 1, GTA 2 styled top down sort of view, but you're going in and like the amount of effort that they put into the actual act of policing the streets, of, searching people, checking them for warrants, running a background check, and it all pops up in this dialogue wheel as if you're playing an RPG or something. And you have to make all the correct choices to make a proper arrest. And then obviously things can go south. The suspect can push you off, punch you, and then it turns into a fight, or somebody is shooting and you go and you're trying to apprehend the suspect without having to kill him. And even though they're putting other people's lives in danger, and it's just that kind of thought process of being in those shoes at that time where it's like, damn, you know, things are getting really, really hairy here, but I do not want to kill these people. I want to try to make an arrest without having to use lethal force. And it puts you in that mindset of like, golly, man, that is a brutal, brutal, brutal job, and yeah, it's the story I will say is weak early on, and then it gets really strong towards the end. If they would have kept that consistent throughout, I think it would be elevated to even a league above where it's at in my mind, but it is still really, really high in my favorite games of the year list.
Wow, that's awesome. I didn't know anything about that, so that's cool hearing about that game. I'm excited to hear the other side now. This is kind of fun. It's fun being on this side of it and hearing two games you know nothing about. So
It is.
that's awesome.
Heard you like roguelikes, guys? Yeah, boy. Um, yeah, this doesn't compete to the Precinct, but I'll give a little rundown about what it is quickly for those that don't know. Obviously, Vampire Survivors burst onto the scene a few years ago, exploded in popularity. It was only inevitable that games would ape it in some degree. There's been a couple that have come close. This is, for me, probably the closest one that matches it in quality. Um, it's surprisingly got a lot of game modes tied to it from the get-go. Usually these types of games will, if they're going to continue supporting them, they'll add in another game mode a few months down the line and stuff like that. But it has enough variance in its gameplay, tons of characters and stuff. But it's, if you've played Vampire Survivors, you've played this. The only difference that sets this apart is that you can manually aim all of your stuff. So that is the big difference, is that it's not with Vampire Survivors. There's very, very few spells that you have control over. A lot of it is just autopiloting and stuff like that. Whereas this is, you have dodges like you would with a Dark Souls game kind of thing. So you're having to choose where to be defensive and then where to be offensive. So there is a little bit more engagement from the player, I guess would be the way of describing it, instead of just, because with Vampire Survivors, you get to a point where you can just stand in the middle of the map and you're unkillable. You can't do that in Soulstone Survivors because they will just pepper you. Like they have their own ranged attacks and stuff like that. So that does set it apart. But no, man, the Precinct has to go through. And there's no way that
Okay.
that has a chance in hell of
Well, that makes my
unstubbing
job
that.
easy if Loon's already going for the precinct then.
It's Soulstone Survivors is a twin stick sort of feel to it, doesn't it? Am I wrong in that?
To a degree, yeah, because you do have control over it, but it still very much is that bullet haven
Okay.
roguelike at its core. But yeah, if
So the
that's interest for you and you want a tiny little bit more depth from them types of games, then that's perfect. Um, but yeah, the Precinct is one that I've wanted for so long as well, watching it and being like, that looks
yeah,
really damn good.
it's really fun, man. So we're cool with the precinct moving forward. I hate that like my games are kind of I want to pick kind of another game. Just the Cabernet kind of felt like it definitely didn't deserve to go forward, and now I'm trying to make up for
Well,
that. But
to be fair, we shuffled how things were going to go. There was no way to know where it was going to be. So I think in
totally.
this case that makes sense because while Soulstone Survivors does look really cool, even though I don't like those kind of games, I've heard a lot of good. The Precinct just sounds a little bit more unique and different of a game, which at least in my eyes deserves to be lauded a little bit more. Not that there's anything wrong with iterating on a formula, but like if that's a little bit more of a unique experience, maybe shouting that out certainly makes sense here. And that's
Yeah.
again, that's not to disparage the other game. It's just maybe this one makes more sense in that case. So.
Yeah, there's so many core things going on in the Precinct. When you did your review and stuff, and I was looking at it, hearing Trey play for it, there was a ton of people playing for it on the Discord. They
Oh,
all
nice.
loved it, did a bunch of like research on it, and it's just like there's so many layers to this game.
Hmm.
And then you look at Soulstone Survivor, and it's like, yeah, man, I love the genre, but like they've tweaked tiny things here and there, giving you the ability to upgrade weapons and stuff like that. There's tiny things, but that isn't enough to dethrone it.
Nice.
Well,
There you go. The precinct. Cool.
precinct is moving forward, my friends.
All right.
All right, so we're back in the mix, back in the flow here. Atomfall going up against Expedition 33. So we tried just behind the scenes peek here. We tried to make it to where we could go through the other side and then hop back into the second round. But I guess what we're going to be doing is like Western Conference, Eastern Conference, and then we'll do the final. So we got to do the entire left bracket, then go to the right, and then we can do the kind of culmination into the championship. But Atomfall versus Expedition 33 is the first round two matchup on the board. This we can really quickly move past. It's Expedition 33, I would assume, across the board, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Expeditions taking a victory lap.
Oh,
Kingdom.
yeah.
Ooh, this is
Ooh.
tough because it's like narrative juggernaut versus narrative juggernaut. Both of these games kind of only excel in the narrative department. I think I would go Kingdom Come Deliverance too because you do have a super, super immersive experience on top of that. a pretty solid role-playing game. I'm not saying it's on par with the all-time great RPGs or anything like that, but it is very, very immersive, and it's just a phenomenal story with not good combat, but interesting combat. Like it's doing interesting things in the combat department. So I think I would have to lean towards KCD2 over Despelote unless either of y'all have any pushback on that.
Loon, you haven't played either then. Have you played the Despelote, Loon?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't. But I would. I think it would be a bit disingenuous to not have Kingdom Come go through. Like, it's great what Despelote did, but you're talking like Kingdom Come 2 has incredible narrative as well as doing so many more things mechanic wise. Don't get me wrong,
Yeah.
Despelote is an incredible indie game and stuff because I'm fairly it almost cracked 90, right?
Oh,
On its
wow.
score.
That's
Like,
awesome.
this is reviewed very, very well.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So,
It does seem like it should be Kingdom Come, though. I mean, I mean, again, they're completely different games, so it's a bit unfair to an extent. A small indie dev team, even though Warhorse Studios isn't massive, but just the feel of that game, like just walking around the world, you just feel like you're there. It's insane. And plus that they're able to make a world that doesn't have your normal fantasy trappings and it's just
Right.
grounded in historical realism, but not boring.
Right.
Even though it's challenging. I mean, that's super duper cool. But again, no shade to Despelote. That sounds really fun in a different way for sure. But Kingdom Come makes sense. I think you guys are right.
yep.
Totally. KCD2 moving on, and now we have a heartbreaker, Mario Kart World versus Cabernet. Listen, guys, I'm happy that Cabernet got to the second round. I totally, totally recognize Mario Kart World as a more complete, finished, polished product that released on day one. People were actually able to play it. And the thing that I think we gotta kind of
That important thing, being able to play it successfully.
right. I mean, yeah,
Yeah.
you gotta kind of factor that in against Cabernet, unfortunately, and hopefully it's cleaned up by now. Hopefully people can really go and enjoy it because it is a miraculous, miraculous achievement in terms of the systems that they were able to layer on top of each other and have everything kind of matter, and it's really, really impressive. But Mario Kart World, I think something that we don't give it enough credit for is seemingly like I haven't heard much complaints about the kind of online experience. And for a Nintendo console, like that's not common. So shout out there as well.
Yeah, the online is really stable. I mean, there's not a lot to it, but for how it works, it's quick, it's seamless. Um, yeah, it sucks because if I had played through Cabernet, if it was polished, I honestly probably and would most likely choose that over Mario Kart as much as I adore Mario Kart. But I mean,
Whose
we just
fault is
have
that?
It's
right.
You
okay.
know,
You
it's not
guys
your
can
fault.
both vote on that, and I'll vote Cabernet because I gave Nintendo their one free pass this video.
Okay, that was
So
the one free pass the one time. Okay.
my bias can now shine through.
Exactly. I mean, it should. This is our pick. It should shine through. I'm sure I'll have some. But yeah, Mario Kart I mean, it is really good. It's still a good showcase of a game that can launch day one and still and just not have issues, despite outside things. It's still very fun to play.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'm gonna have to go Mario Kart World as well. I mean, you can't launch your game completely broken like that. And still, the last time I played it, side quests were completely broken. So two votes for Mario Kart World there.
Oh, what a pairing.
Interesting matchup. Yeah.
Yeah, so this is you and I going head to head here, Jeffrey. But
Well,
I'm
not really.
right.
I wasn't that passionate about. I mean, it's fun, but I wasn't that passionate about it as much as you were passionate about the precinct, though. To be fair, so.
Yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. The precinct is something really, really special. Once again, from a smaller team, like we're talking about with a lot of these games, because the smaller teams are really delivering in spades these days. But this is for a smaller team to be able to do something on this scale, and also as we're talking about with a lot of these games, not be broken, buggy, no crashes, no frame rate dips, no like it was just a really consistent, solid experience. And yeah, I would definitely go the precinct.
I would also go the precinct just based on those things. Loon, even though we kind of have two. Well, I'm just curious what you would go with Loon based on those two
I would go with the precinct. I was trying to look up the developer out
of
of
the precinct.
curiosity. Yeah.
It's the same people who did the American Fugitive game. I believe they
Oh,
are
All right.
interesting.
Fallen Tree
Fallen.
games.
Yep.
I want to check this out.
Um,
This was not on my radar at all, just because again, just didn't seem to me like an interesting game. But based on what you've told me, it sounds super intriguing, honestly. So I'm excited to
One
check that
last
out on sale.
thing with a Lost in Random, wasn't that EA tired as well in
It's
some
an
way?
I think
EA
so. The
original?
first game was like EA, one of the EA originals,
Mm,
like the not indie, but like double A.
mm.
This one might still be right. I don't know.
I'm
You
not.
would
Oh
think
yeah,
so, right?
I was seeing if you knew that because I was fairly certain I saw it in the EA Play list and stuff like that.
I think so.
Which
Yeah.
I like to give a tip of the hat. Like EA is terrible in most cases, but their original initiative is actually really good. It actually
Wow.
Yeah.
lands quite a few decent titles.
100%.
So EA did not publish this. Thunderful Publishing.
Oh yeah, Thunderful. They're a big indie publisher. Yeah.
So
Did they
with
publish the first one?
Yeah.
no,
Wait, really? They didn't publish the first one?
EA
What am
did
I?
for
Well,
the
yeah. No, you were right then, Loon. They
Yeah,
did the first one, not this one, right?
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
So what that would tell me if EA published the first is EA are they giving these smaller teams the IP?
Well,
That is
they
Yeah, I
have to
think
in that case. Yeah.
I thought that was what the originals thing is, right? Because they don't own Split Fiction, do
Oh
they?
yeah, that's originals too, isn't it?
interesting.
Oh
They're
yeah.
All of
funding it and not taking the
the
IP.
whole point of
Huh.
their EA original program was to put indie developers on the map. And that's why I said you can hate EA for every other aspect that they
Right.
do, but that's the one thing that I give them a tip of the hat to. It was their way to promote an indie developer.
That's awesome. Yeah. That is cool. That needs to be
Interesting.
lauded. You're right. Yeah. I'm sure they get a cut somehow, somewhere along the line, but the fact that they just kind of let them free is pretty, or
And
like
an EA
let
suit
them fly
knocks on the
away.
door.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're
Give
here
me my
for our
money for
two
your
and a half
game.
percent. Okay.
Precinct, it sounds like then. Yeah. Cool.
Okay, go ahead and move forward.
All right.
Oh, Expedition 33 and Kingdom Come Deliverance 2,
I
two
It's an
mean,
absolute
easy pick.
juggernauts.
is it? I feel like is anything on this side? I mean, if come on, if we're just being honest, like, is anything really? Like, is it really? Come on, come on,
I
come on,
I
Brandon, come on,
mostly
Brandon, come on,
I
come
do
on. Sorry.
I do mostly agree with you, man. I think the one thing here though is Kingdom Come does have a stronger story, in my opinion.
What?
I, that is a
Wild.
that's a like
Wild.
I don't think people understand. I know Expedition 33 had a lot of players through Game Pass and just a lot of purchase. I know Expedition 33 is the more hyped game or whatever, but Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is it is a masterpiece in narrative design. Like I do agree. Expedition 33 gets the win here, but I want to give credit that it's not because of the story. It's because Expedition 33 has like uh, revolutionary combat design for a turn-based RPG. But if we're talking story, I would go KCD2.
I do want to know, having only put like 5 hours into Kingdom Come, without spoiling anything, I guess for anyone, what makes it to you, what makes it a more compelling story than Expedition 33? I don't know. I'm just,
Because I do want to hop in as well.
yeah,
And
yeah.
So I think that it's such a grounded story like you were talking about before, not having the fantasy trappings, not have like it is literally a story about a couple dudes really. They're going through this journey and they're like there was a point in Kingdom Come Deliverance too, and I've talked about it 100 times, but I think one of the most fascinating story beats of this entire game is you infiltrate a political party and you're sitting there pouring tea as these different political head honchos are discussing like they're getting into the weeds about finances and they're getting into the weeds about sort of strategy for this oncoming battle, and it's like all of this you're so in the weeds, but it's so fascinating, man. Like it's so interesting to you're infiltrating and you're gaining information that you're going to be able to use to weaponize against these people potentially, depending on what you choose to do. There's a moment where once again, I don't want to spoil anything, but there's this wedding scene in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 where you make such a powerful decision towards the end of that scene, and like it has such great ripple effects down the line, and it's I I really don't want to spoil what happens there, but it's so incredible just what they're able to do with like really small things such as a wedding with, I don't know, 30, 40 people roaming around, but every like person seems to have some sort of uh intentional placement in why they are where they're at, what they're going to add to the story, potential battles that will ensue, and you're seeing dead bodies on the ground and you're like, well, damn, I just had a conversation with this guy about whatever random thing. It's like you have so much more of an emotional attachment to small mundane characters, NPCs. And I don't know, I think that story in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is masterfully told.
Nice. That's awesome. Loon, what'd you want to jump in with?
Because I'm on like because obviously I think it's going to be fairly similar story execution to how the first game was, and it was a very good story. It's heavily based on actual historical characters that existed. They've
Hmm.
taken slight creative liberties with renaming people and also repivoting them in certain ways. So I can definitely agree. I'm sure that the second game story is amazing as well. But for me, like when you're talking about narratives and stuff like that, a true powerhouse of a narrative is when you get to the end of it and it has multiple endings and you have people have actual full-blown debates online as to what is the right option and
Hmm.
what is the wrong option, and both sides are right.
Hmm. Yeah.
That's the crazy thing of like when you get to the end of something and both sides can be right on something so extremely different in views and values and stuff like that. So for me, I think having not played Kingdom Come 2, but having played the first one, I don't think they would have stepped it up to a whole new level. I think it would fall within that same realm. But I think for me, Expedition 33 has a much stronger narrative.
Hmm.
I well, can't say that. What I
For me, I'm saying for me personally.
but
Well,
you
I
you
like
haven't you
it's
haven't played it.
no, but it's pulling off of historical things that have already existed, and when I've read through it when I was doing the first game and stuff like that, seeing where they ended up. And I'm sure there's big moments that they do, but I'm talking like with Expedition 33, it's it I said it's my favorite game of all time in a singular entity. Kingdom Come 1 isn't anywhere close to being in like the top 50 for that
Hmm.
as a nod. So there's no way in hell Kingdom Come 2 is gonna close that gap. It may get into that top 50, but
S-
this kind of story that they've perfected is my type of story. Whereas you seem to be in you love your political intrigue. It's why like you got hooked to like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. This kind of thing where you have something so crazy that isn't achievable in real life, but they make me when I'm playing through it believe that it is actually real. The
Hmm.
immersion levels and stuff like that. It just speaks to me on a deeper level.
So
Hmm.
I listen, to be clear, I'm gonna vote Expedition 33 because I do think Expedition 33 is a better game. But I do want to just really hammer home, like, I think there's so much about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 that is god awful. But I think that, and I also was able to play through whatever 70 hours of this thing just to see the story through because I
Yeah.
loved the story that much. So I want to really like I don't want people to think that, oh, well, yeah, of course Brandon's gonna pick the non-fantasy thing and the thing with slightly more realistic characters and yada yada yada. This is his lane. I do want to hammer home. I don't like a lot about Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Like, there's a lot I don't like about that game. I like Expedition 33 much more. And that's why I'm going to pick, or not much more, but I like Expedition 33 more. That's
Right.
why I'm going to pick Expedition 33. But I'm telling you guys, if you see Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 on sale for cheap, pick that thing up
Mm.
if you're a real fan of, like, if you really want a great narrative and just having the cast of characters in the same recording booth so they're able to play off each other in real time, and like the production quality is through the roof. It's an insane feat in narrative design. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going Expedition 33 as well.
No, it almost breaks my heart to hear how much you love it because that's exactly how I felt from just the 5 hour trial of the game. Again, I was literally like, I mean, I wasn't losing sleep about it, but I was like, do I want to spend 60, $70 right now on this? Because I also know that, like, I know I'm just going to have so much trouble getting to the next beat, but like that story was so strong even in the first few hours. So like I can 1,000% see what you're saying, Brand. I guess my fear is, like how many of us that aren't as good at figuring out that kind of stuff will be able to see it through. And that was my only fear of not spending the money. Whereas Expedition 33, is the one thing I'll say, this isn't story related, but what I really love about Expedition 33 is it's as much of a game as you want it to be or not. And what I mean by that is there's so much side content that I didn't even realize was there. I wrapped up the main thing and there's probably 30 more hours of stuff I could have done, but I
Same.
didn't feel like going back. And I also didn't feel like I missed anything by not going back. And that is a pretty rare thing with a lot of games where you only feel like you're getting all of it out of it by doing all of that side content. And I'm not comparing that to Kingdom Come. I'm just saying in general. So that I do think is such a cool thing on its own about Expedition 33 is it can be a straight point A to point B to an extent, or you can do everything, but you're still, to your point, Loon, about the story, you'll still get to the end and have to make these choices and still going to come up with those mental quandaries that are going to stick with you. Which for me was pretty rare for these types of games where normally you have to do everything to feel like you did everything. So gosh, yeah, Brandon, hearing you say that about the story, I so badly want to get through it, but I just don't know if I will be able to unless you're my personal guide. So
It's and I will say like it's just it is a very very weird philosophy to have for your game whenever you have such a great narrative to kind of barricade that between such stupid uh quest design where you have no idea where you're going and like and a lot of that I will say is through the side content. Like the main quest kind of gets you to where you need to go because they do know that they have a powerhouse of a story there, but there are those little beats in between where it's like, all right, I'm gonna wander around this big circle until I can find the random guy in a brown shirt that I need to go and talk to. And it's like, dude, do you not know what you have? Like, are you not aware of the story that you have right there in front of you? Like, it is all-time great narrative shit that you have here with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Get people to it, man. Let
right.
people see it. And yeah, so anywho, I'm going Expedition 33 because I do have a lot of, and the combat's just not, the Expedition 33 combat is out of this world.
Oh yeah.
So I'm going Expedition 33. Loon, I think we're all going Expedition 33.
Yeah.
I don't know why that turned into a 2 hour ramble.
Well, because it's important to, again, we're not choosing one of these doesn't, I think there's this concept if we're choosing one, we're disparaging the other. That's not it at all. It's just like we want to prop up which one we think stands above, but it doesn't mean the other one's not good. It's just different.
Yeah,
That's not a bad thing. So,
Totally.
yeah, no, Kingdom Come 2 is not a bad game at all. I love
yeah.
that first game, but because when we were talking about it, like I said earlier in the year, there's very few times when you end up even just booting up a game for like the first 2 hours and being like, holy crap, this is special.
Yeah.
This is going to stick with me.
Especially in comparison to like we talked about Avowed that didn't stick with any of us because of the story. What's the contrast? A game like Kingdom Come, which does stick you or can stick with you, that's pretty rare, or it can be rare. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, now we got the matchup of ages here with Mario Kart World going up against the Precinct.
Which car's
Well,
faster?
wait, there are police cars in Mario Kart World. Just FYI, there actually are.
Listen, man.
So just saying.
I'm gonna say this out the gate. I've seen clips of Mario Kart World that make me want to go spend $350. That you don't.
It's $450.
Is it
It's
is the
400 or $450. Or no, it's 450 or wait, it's more than that.
yeah. It's 390 it's 399, right. The base console is three yeah, it's $400 for the base console, and then yeah, the bundle. Right. So
Just
yeah,
want to get that clear, it's not cheap.
it is not
I have no
cheap.
money left. I'm on the street.
I feel you, I
You
see.
had to sell all the Funkos.
That's yeah. Oh, that's why you don't see all the things in the backgrounds because I had to sell everything, and I'm actually just in a shed. Which hey, that's fine. I got to switch to. I guess that's worth it. My wife
Yeah.
left me. Help me. All right, go
Um,
ahead.
listen, man, I've seen clips of Mario Kart World where I'm like, yeah, I literally want to go out and spend a ridiculous amount of money just to be able to do freaking weird flips and tricks with my car as I'm grinding on a rail in this heated online battle. Like it looks so sweaty, so ridiculous, so fun, man. I yeah, I'll give it that. Like it is so tempting. And that's the whole idea, right? When you launch a console, you got to have that thing that must have that you got to have that thing that's going to entice you to go and spend that money. And Mario Kart World is that style of game, but I obviously got to go the Precinct. I can't I I respect Mario Kart World, but the Precinct just it hit me in my soul.
So, Loon, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you're going to end up having to be the deal breaker on this, which I feel like I know which way you're going to go because you already said you gave Nintendo one pass. But hear me out here. I don't have a problem necessarily going with the Precinct, but I haven't played it either, so I guess that's not fair. I haven't played just like you haven't played Mario Kart, Brandon, I guess. But the amount of the amount of joy just sitting down and playing that game and feeling like a kid again. I was just sitting on the couch and smiling and just going through tracks and the little nods to like old music. Like I was going through this ice track with the penguins going down and there was music, like a redux version of the music from like Mario 64. And I couldn't figure it out, but I'm like, I know this. My wife's like, yeah, it's from the penguin race from Mario 64. Like there's these little nods to past games. There's these little nods in the world. And even though the open free roam world doesn't have much to do, it just still feels like a joy to see what they created. And that's pretty rare for a game. Nintendo can do that, but it's just the amount of times where I'm like, this is fun. Like I'm not thinking about anything else. It's fun. I don't have anything else to unlock, but I want to still keep playing it. I'd never do that with a game unless there's something else to unlock. But it's just the sheer joy of playing the game. So that being said, if you played Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, if you played any other Mario Karts, you're not getting a lot new here. To be fair, like, yeah, the open world thing is different, but it doesn't mean it's better. I would still personally go with Mario Kart World only because of just the sheer amount of accessibility and joy it brings to the table. But I haven't played the Precinct, so I can't speak to that. But it just always brings a smile to my face when I'm playing it. And for me, like, that's a no-brainer personally. So it's good.
All of like the grinding the rails and doing all the flips and all of that crazy stuff, was that in the last Mario Kart? I didn't play much of the last Mario Kart.
So Mario Kart 8 had there was like anti-gravity sections where you could like ride on the side of walls and things like that, or like get little spin boosts with anti-gravity. But this one added the grinding, like the actual wall riding, like these charge jumps and some new items. But it's not a game. What's cool about it is if you don't engage with any of it and you just race, you'll still win. If you engage with it and want to, you can still win and do well. So it's kind of one of these, you don't have to do any of the tricks. If you want to, you can, but also the courses in the world are set up to where even if you don't want to or don't know how to, you naturally do it. So you'll naturally get to parts where you can grind on a thing and like jump between them. And it just feels so fluid. Like it does feel like a Tony Hawk-esque Mario
Yeah,
Kart thing, which is honestly, I thought it'd be so stupid. It's really fun. Like it's just good old fashioned video game fun.
it
Yeah.
looks fun, man. It looks
So
so fun. I would be a-okay with losing this one because I do look at that and I'm like, yeah, they got the goods over there. They know how to make games. So it's I'm kind of obviously I'm gonna vote for the Precinct, but I would be okay with taking an L on this one. Loon,
same.
you get to swing the axe, my friend.
And I'm in the same boat as that too, Loon. So I'm in the same on that. So now it's all up to you. No pressure. Don't screw it up.
It is mainly in jest, me ribbing Nintendo and stuff. The thing that disappointed me, because like you're saying, these types of games are designed to turn your head, to get your attention, to get that console and stuff like that. And it was actually interesting because I love Forza Horizon so much. So hearing that they were taking like mild inspiration from it was like, okay, well if they can get like the open world section, right? Because that's where Horizon shines. It's not actually the racing. You know, it has racing all over it, but the thing that people just love being inside is that just open world and just having that weird constant was it dopamine hit of just a ball smash through it, like this, a jump, like just constantly being rewarded. And it sounds like they didn't execute on that like at all.
Not
It
at
feels
all.
like
Not at all.
that's the big thing of like when they announced that it was like okay that is actually really different and unique and to hear that they didn't fully utilize that is kind of disappointing to hear about because it's the thing of well what I empathize with Nintendo players as well that stay in that ecosystem. There's so many elements of games that go past them because it like not to be mean, but like it blew their mind with like Breath of the Wild and stuff like that. When it for me, when I picked it up and played it, I was like, this is really Ubisoft-esque for a lot of things. Like there's stuff that they definitely blow the water out of in comparison to Ubisoft. But it's like this feels like I experienced this in 2008, and people are trumpeting this for being like a game of the year and being an absolute masterpiece. And it's just like I think there's a little bit out of control with that. So,
Mhm.
and the Precinct, I obviously enjoyed American Fugitive. It's nice to see them not just be like, okay, we're gonna stay in that quality. This is a massive step up in quality
Yeah.
in comparison to American Fugitive. So they're being very ambitious.
Before
But
you make your I will say one thing to just one thing to the benefit of Mario Kart World. And I know I shouldn't be fighting for Mario Kart World here, but it's whenever you talk about like the open world, I do fully, yeah, it should be more, there should be more it should be more populated. It should be more fun to engage with that. But the racing is totally on a different level. And I do got to give credit to Mario Kart games for the racing just being like, I love Forza Horizon. Mario Kart has much more enjoyable, fun moment to moment racing than a Forza game or a crew game or whatever. It's your preference, obviously,
Yeah.
arcadey style racing, but
yeah.
it is crazy how good that moment to moment gameplay is when you're actually in the races. So I'll give it credit there, not to disparage my own game here.
But Loon, I think, and I'm glad you said that. You hit the nail on the head, Loon, about the Forza Horizon, because every part of me, because I love those games too, every part of me when I'm driving through this open world is like, if they would have just taken hints and nods from how to
Mm.
make, because those worlds that Playground Games makes, it's Playground Games, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Are like they're just so cool. And you wouldn't expect Nintendo to make an exact copy of that, but like if they would have at least taken 25% of that DNA, it would have knocked it out of the park. So to your point, that would have been amazing, but it's a little too late for that. So, I that was a smart, thing that you thought of there. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and also because I've seen tons of people talking about it, like they have the connecting races, right? Kind of thing. And
Yeah.
apparently
So
they're kind of a little bit lackluster. A lot of people just vote to skip them, I heard, or something like that. Like they're avoiding doing that, which is when that was also trumpeted on the forefront of being like, yeah, you can race to the next race. Like you're putting a race in a race. I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And people seem to be not really enjoying that aspect. It's kind of a bit weird.
it's a bit of a from what I've gathered, it's a bit of a two-way street. I don't know a percentage, but like a lot of
Mm.
people got tired of the 3-lap race that honestly got perfected in the past Mario Kart. Whereas
Yep.
this one, they're trying to keep it where it's like you're just going from point A to point B. So you're not getting used to learning a track per se. You're used to like just going from point A to
The
point B.
sprint.
Personally, yeah. So
Yeah.
personally, like I think that's more fun because you're not just seeing the same thing for 3 laps in a row. But I can fully understand for people that want to get good at the
Yeah.
tracks, you're not getting that same feeling. So the game has a little bit of both, basically. So anyway, so it's all you, man. Well, I'm like you, Brandon. I honestly am fine either way. They both have huge
Oh,
merits. So
I'll actually lean towards Mario Kart. I'll give them credit for the sheer factor that I don't think they did enough, yet clearly they did because that console was selling like hotcakes. So
Yeah. I
cool.
mean, it's
gotta give them their merit. And also
Well,
it's gonna get barbarically mutilated here. So
so
so I get to eat it with my vote, so that's nice.
there you go.
Mario Kart World moves on to face Expedition 33 in the Western Conference Finals, if I'm not mistaken here.
That is the
And
West too.
yeah,
We can call it the left turn. Yeah.
the Western Conference Finals. Um, Listen, man, Mario Kart World, it had a good run, right? I don't know really what else we can add
No.
to it. We've talked about it a lot. It seems like a phenomenal video game. It's once again, there are very few games out there that are going to make people line up to spend 400 plus dollars. That is one of probably, I don't know, 10 max system sellers, like real deal system sellers. So shout out to it. But yeah, I'm going Expedition 33.
Yep. I mean, hard agree. Yeah.
But Mario Kart,
You're going to play the devil's advocate again for Nintendo. They're going to call you and be like, we want to work with you now.
no.
So
Yeah.
Expedition 33 advances past Mario Kart. And now finally we get
Told you.
to the other round. We get to whatever you want to call this. I guess the Eastern Conference, if we're going to go with that vernacular there.
Can I just ask up front, how do we, because we had to do it this way, how does, and I'm asking this myself as much as you guys, how do we not think about what we're choosing based on what the other game is that we know? Like, that's going to be really hard to be like, well, we know we're going up against Expedition 33 now. That's hard. I'm just trying to admit that that's hard. That's going to be hard to make any other choice now. Is it not?
Well, no, I mean, I have a game I like more than Expedition 33
Yeah, I know you
on
do.
this list.
Yeah.
I might have a
Okay.
couple. Yeah, so I'm not
Okay.
like full blown. I love Expedition 33. It's definitely top three, top five for me without a doubt. But there are a couple I have above it.
Okay.
Um,
What do I know?
well, it'll be a difficult case for me to make, but I'll definitely try it. Um,
All right.
South of Midnight going up against Warriors Abyss. I've played both of these a little bit. I haven't played much of Warriors Abyss. I really liked South of Midnight, man. I think that it is a really, really strong story. Great, in terms of the just entire art direction. The music is maybe the best music I've heard in a video game all year. Just in terms of the handcrafted nature, trying to apply this music to specific characters, and it's really, really impressive what they did on a music front. I think it just struggles gameplay wise tremendously. Like it is just really bare bones in terms of the gameplay. Not bad, just not a lot to necessarily do there. I think some of the navigational shit's cool, zipping around, and yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Nothing bad, but I finished it, enjoyed it a good deal, just lacking in gameplay where it really succeeds in every other department, in my opinion. So,
Okay.
Loon, I know you played Warriors Abyss, correct? S-
100% it.
You
Oh, wow.
100% it.
Did
Nice.
everything possible in that game.
Wow.
Um,
Why don't you talk about it? Because I don't know anything. I don't know much
I
about it. So.
it's the type of thing of like you saying that, South of Midnight kind of fell a little bit on the gameplay department. As much as I loved Warriors Abyss, because it's a rogue-like, it's kind of like Hades-esque. The big difference is though, and this is a massive ding on the game, like I love it. I love it a lot, but it's one of them types of things where you know it's flawed, you know that it's like cut corners, but you like it. There is no variation in the boss fights unless they've patched this
Mm.
in. I haven't played it since 100% earlier in the year. The entire route was the same. You could
Huh.
get variants in rooms that you were going to, but every single boss fight was the same. And then once you, in your first beginning runs and stuff like that, you're having all these numbers pop up on screen, all these different stats and stuff, and you're like, you don't know how that impacts the game. The moment you've cracked that code, you don't lose a single game. Even when you're upping the difficulty, it's so incredibly abusable when you're in the know. It was an absolute cakewalk. As much as I loved it, it's a really good because it obviously has the Buso inspiration where you have tons and tons of enemies on the screen. But the boss fights were tragic. They were just
Mm.
sponges. So I would probably vote South of Midnight, even though I haven't played it. It's something that it looks interesting. It looks unique in what they tried to do. And I'm also obviously, as everyone knows, a massive fan of soundtracks. So hearing that you said that soundtracks are amazing, it's the type of thing where it's like I'd probably tip my hat to it if the soundtracks are good. That makes half of the game for me.
It's so crazy. Jeffrey, first of all, I know you played South of Midnight, correct?
Yeah, I was just so I adore South of Midnight. I think it's one of my favorite games of the year. I don't actually agree with you, Brandon. I think the gameplay is phenomenal and it kept me through. It's also not a long game. You can wrap it up in 10 hours. This for me is the perfect game. Not it's not perfect all throughout, but what I mean is that I can finish it in
Mm.
8 to 12 hours. It's a linear game with a little bit of exploration. You know where you're always going. It has my little thing where it tells you where to go. You press the button and it goes here's where you go. And I love that because then you know what areas you can go explore and you're not going to miss anything. I'm so OCD in life about everything, which is exhausting. So when I'm playing a game, I like to be able to know that I'm going to at least check out all the other areas. The world here, like, and Brand, I know you live in the South, so I can't speak to it, but this is obviously like a fantasy
Yeah.
Bayou South. But the world they created here is unbelievable. I never take screenshots in games. I just don't care about that. I don't do social media, so I don't care. The amount of times I would just stop and just stare at everything and take a screenshot of this world was innumerous. It's so beautiful. It's so spooky, but then gorgeous and haunting and mesmerizing. And that combined with the music and the story, it just, I went through this in like 3 or 4 days. I just could not put it down. I absolutely adore it. And that music, to just hammer home the way that they weave. And again, Brand, I can't speak to like how the music is in those, southern areas, but from what I imagine in my mind, let's put it that way, the music is just so on point. And without spoiling much, like each kind of main character, like, thing has its own unique sung along, I don't know what the word you want to use, voiced track or music, but they're all different
Yeah.
and they're all unique. And some of them really pull on your heartstrings where I was like, crap, I don't want to feel anything, but I'm feeling a lot right now. The only downside for me is the gameplay, I think, is fun, but all of the battling of the enemies takes place in little arenas. So you're not just like, running around, attacking, moving on. Like you get to an arena, you face all the baddies, move on. Get to an arena. Like that part got old. I think if they would have just spaced enemies out, that would have made more sense, like a normal action adventure game.
Yep.
But for me, this game is one of my favorites, at least of the last decade. I adore it so much. So
Oh shit. Okay. Yeah. See, I will say, to your credit, if you are somebody who loves that PS2 era, PS3 era, if you miss linearity in games, like this is absolutely perfect for any of your, enslaved Odyssey to the West fans, any of your Beyond Good and Evil fans, your, games that even like your Devil May Cries or whatever, just something that's your Onimusha, like it's perfectly in that camp of get in, get out, less than 10 hours, you're having a full complete experience. And it does not insult you by
yep,
wasting your time. Like, where to go, you're getting to it. Progression is great. It is a
yep.
really, really good game. I would vote South of Midnight here as well. I play a little bit of Warriors Abyss, and solid, but I would go South of Midnight.
Yep.
Cool.
Perfect.
I've wanted to check out Warriors Abyss. I don't care about the Warriors games or roguelites, but I have heard a lot of good things about it. So I appreciate your thoughts on it, Loon, because I do want to check it out at some point because it does sound unique enough. It sucks about the bosses, though.
I was about to say get it on like a deep sale because there
Okay.
isn't enough shifting change. There's no change at all. Like once you've seen the boss, that is it. So get it on a deep sale.
Cool.
Moving Houses versus Tainted Grail, The Fall of Avalon is our next very,
The
very
Battle of the Titans.
Hey, don't knock until you've tried it. Trust me.
So Jeffrey, Moving Houses, that's a title you played this year?
Yeah. Have either of you heard of it or played it?
No, but I do know I thought about picking up that unpacking game recently. I think it got a physical release and I wanted to jump into that. So is it similar to that?
Well, all right. I want to purposely stay discreet about this game because the less you know, the better.
Ooh,
I don't know how much I want to really say. No, okay. All I will say, even though it has nothing to do with the gameplay, is for people that know about Doki Doki Literature Club,
gotcha.
you kind of know what you're going to get with Moving Houses. Not at all the same type of game. So what I'll say is this is a game on the surface. You're literally packing up boxes like unpacking, like you mentioned, Brandon. It's first person. It's a first person game, but you're running around your little house packing up things, and it's very tactile and simple, and it feeds that little OCD tick in your brain like a psycho lizard like me. But it is not what you think. And my goodness, I never play through a game more than once. I did this three
Ooh.
times. It's a very short game. Don't get me wrong. It's only a few hours long, but made by, I think, just one guy. It's so charming and quirky. And anyway, I'm not going to say anything else because the less you
Okay.
know, the better. It is just a delight and a treat that I finished twice in one day, which I would never do with any other game. But
Holy
that being said, I haven't played enough or really any of Tainted Grail to speak on that, but Moving Houses is such a fantastic one-person indie game that needs to be lauded because it is up there with Doki Doki in my opinion at least. So,
Okay, that it very much just jumped on my radar. I was expecting more of an unpacking styled experience, but all right,
well,
add it to the wish
yeah,
list it goes.
maybe.
I have a question to pick your brain on.
We're not taking questions. Thank you.
Oh, well, my channel, we established this.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Please ask all the questions, sir.
Um, so when you have these types of games, because obviously it's fairly obvious that there's more going on, did you go in knowing that, or was this one of them moments where it was you discovered that yourself? Because I had a similar situation where, oh God, I'm drawing a blank on it. There was a card game that did it.
Inscription?
That was it. And I had no. It released on PC and then came to consoles much later. I just thought it was a card game. I was just like, hell yeah, man, more Slay the Spire stuff because I tried to keep in the dark as much as possible about things that are on PC that are out of my reach. I can kind of get into them now with the laptop, but still would prefer to play them on my platform.
Hmm.
So I try to just ignore them and just, if they come, they come. If they don't, they don't. It fell into my lap, and then you're playing through it, and you're like, man, this is kind of cool. Morbid, but really cool. And then you progress further, and then more stuff happens, and it's kind of that thing. Did you know getting into that? Because I find that's the best way to experience them games. Because when you go in with a predetermined notion, because like you said with Doki Doki, I can't go in and be like, oh well, that's incredibly unique because you kind of have that allure spoiled for you a little
Right.
bit.
And that's obviously a more well-known game at this point, where this one
Yeah.
I've never heard anyone talk about. My question first to you is, did you watch the trailer for, did you watch any trailers for Inscription prior to buying it? Just like any trailers? Do you remember?
No, I try to avoid trailers for the most part.
Okay.
What I'd seen is people who do like roguelikes cover it, and I watched like a 2 minute clip and was like, yeah, I like that card game loop enough. Like, if that would have been the beginning and the end of the game, I would have been happy with that. Like, I would have happily played that till the end of time. But then getting into it and then having that peeled back even more, that was the mind blowing thing for me.
The reason I ask you that is because the Inscription trailers, there's multiple, but they hint
Mm.
they hint
Hmm.
that there's something more. So I say that because the one trailer, at least at the time for Moving Houses, hints. It very subtly hints, but for all intents and purposes, to answer your question, I went into this game and bought it for like $12 because I assumed, like you, Brandon, it was an unpacking game where you literally just pack up some stuff, and I wanted to just do that in one day because I was bored, kind of unbeknownst how much of a tale it would weave. Let's just put it that way. So I don't know if that answers your question, but yeah, I went in as blind as you can to it. Really thinking it was just a little OCD brain, put some stuff in a box, but it's very surprising.
That's
But
awesome.
again, the less you know, the better. So again, I'm not going to pretend it's the best game out there, like anything like that, but it's one of those surprises that I picked up on a whim and was so blown away with, which I just don't feel like happens a lot nowadays because we see about everything nowadays. If you're hooked in like we are, I guess. So anyway, I'll stop talking about it, but that's all.
I'll go ahead and lay my cards on the table. I think I'm leaning towards moving houses. I played Tainted Grail Fall of Avalon, and it was completely riddled with game-breaking bugs on the PS5 for me.
Oh
I
no.
don't know if it's like that on PC. I assume probably not, because I think it was in early access for a little bit on PC first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, several
So
years.
yeah, so listen, this is going to be one where it's the unfortunate thing where I think I probably would go Tainted Grail 9 times out of 10 if it had a more polished experience on, when I decided to jump into it. But yeah, moving houses sounds like, just based on that description alone, I absolutely will be playing that this year. I love games like that, just subverting your expectations. That's very, very up my alley. Knowing it's only a few hours is very up my alley right now. So yeah, I would go moving houses over Tainted Grill, unfortunately, just due to the bugs.
Bro, for both, wait, Loon, did you play Tainted Grail as well? Because I just have a question for, so you did play it.
Yeah.
Okay. I tried a demo a while back and it didn't click. My question for both of you then is how much time you put in, but then how does it compare or feel like compared to games like, the Oblivion remake or even Avowed or Skyrim? Because I've heard the discourse is like it's kind of a more indie AA version of that, or more of an old school version. So I'm kind of curious to hear, as someone that fell off the demo and didn't really enjoy it, what you guys think about it compared to those games, if that's even fair.
Yeah, take it
You
away,
want
Lou.
me to?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for both of you. Yeah, for both of you.
I'm actually going to use the
It's
bathroom real quick while you explain.
Unacceptable.
it's definitely you look at like the Oblivion remaster thing that came out, and that's a lot higher quality bar. This is from a smaller studio, I believe, in Poland. So it's one of them things where I'm rooting for them a little bit more than probably other people are because I feel we've touched upon this on the channel a lot that I think that we're going to see a huge amount of these studios start to pop up because it's so much cheaper to make them games. They're able to also make these types of games again and on a smaller budget. We still haven't seen the Elder Scrolls 6, in however long. You'd think Bethesda would be wanting to put that out a lot quicker. But this is definitely a little bit more rougher. You're talking, it doesn't have a physics engine kind of thing like the Elder Scrolls has. Everything's kind of fixed in place. It's definitely a lot more rough, and that's saying something for Bethesda games. They're known for being for being rough. But
Right.
I know he run into like really bad bugs, whereas I came in a little bit later, a few weeks later. They'd been kind of patched up by then for the most part. It's still a little bit chuggy at times, but I'm also a massive, massive fan of like Arthurian legend and stuff like that. Have you played like King Arthur Knight's Tale, the
It,
turn-based?
I tried a demo, I
Yeah.
actually just like 2 weeks ago tried a trial on PlayStation because like you, I adore
Mm.
Arthurian, King Arthur, dark fantasy. It's cool to hear you say that, but I didn't like it because I just don't like those types of games. So
Yeah.
personally,
So
but
so for me, the setting is something that obviously there doesn't get enough titles in that kind of world. So I'm much more in favor of it. But yeah, I if we were to vote on this, you both are going to moving houses. I would probably my bias would overweigh that being wanting to put it into offering. But that sounds really interesting. That moving houses game. Is it I would assume a cheaper title than especially Tainted Grail because I think Tainted Grail came up for about 40.
yeah, but I mean, it's like a 2 hour game. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It has some replayability, but like where it sounds like Tainted Grail is sort of a massive. It is. Is it fully open world or is it more like open zone? Like how does I just never got a grasp on it from the demo I tried. How is it broken up in terms of like exploration? Because I'm really intrigued by it.
It's
I just don't know enough about it.
it's like a little bit of both because
Okay,
it's got open enough areas to the point where I wouldn't call them linear because there are enough spaces to be exploring out in there. But it's if I was to put it like side by side comparison, it would be more in line with like an Outer Worlds than an Elder Scrolls game kind
gotcha.
of
That
thing,
makes
where
sense.
it's breaking things up in that kind of way, being a little bit more smart with it. But even then, being smart with it, and it still chugs, unfortunately. So I think if they would have gone fully open world, it probably wouldn't have even booted to the game.
So
Gotcha.
where are we leaning, guys? I'm in the moving houses camp. Loon.
Me too.
I'm still gonna have to tip my hat to Tainted Grail, unfortunately, as I have a bias towards Arthurian legend, as we just uncovered. But no, moving houses sounds incredible
So
for what it
two to
is.
one on that one. We'll move moving houses forward. You'll move your house on to the next round, my friend. And now we have a heartbreaking matchup here. Split Fiction versus Promise Mascot Agency. So Split Fiction is I mean a literal miracle, in my opinion, of game design to be able to in this I've said it a million times, but in this era of like attention spans being so short and not able to focus on any one thing for a long period of time, like I really think Hayes like cracked the code of, oh yeah, well we're just going to give you a million different awesome things to look at on the screen per
What are we
second.
talking about?
Say
Which
what?
he
I
was
was playing into
making.
you saying about having
Yeah,
people have low attention spans or
he
something.
was
What are we
making a
talking
joke
about?
about what you were saying.
Oh,
Come on,
well,
man, pick up on
I
that.
there it, as I already forgot what the hell I said 2 seconds ago. So
I
the the
appreciated your humor, Loon. I appreciate that you tried there.
the TikTok brain rot has got me too.
Got us all
Brandon.
infected.
Listen, man, it really is a just unbelievably fucking well executed vision with Split Fiction. But Promise Mascot Agency is awesome as well. And Loon, I know this is one you've really been diving deep into. I think you just 100%ed it, correct?
Yep. Another one.
What is
Um,
this game? I've watched the trailer for this game multiple times, and I'm like, I don't get it. So someone please explain what the heck this game is. Promise Mascot, not Split Fiction. I know what that is.
I don't know. 100% and I still don't like this is the weird thing is that when I was being asked about it on the Discord, I don't even know what you would put this in as a genre.
Okay.
It's doing so many different things, especially the further you get into the game, it unravels even more. And it's so baffling. Um Collectathon, visual novel-esque with its storytelling. It's got really dark, absurd humor.
Okay.
Um there's a card battling game. there's crane, there's claw machines like you'd expect. That it's just everything.
Open world driving around in
Yeah.
a
What?
truck.
Oh, yeah, your entire movement is based in this like old crappy Suzuki like pickup truck. You can fit it out, it can drive on water. You get a boat upgrade, it can become a boat. You get a
Obviously, yeah.
glider upgrade, you can just fly with the damn thing. It
It's crazy.
But
it's
what? But
baffling.
what are you doing? What's the point? Like, what? I'm just really trying to understand. Like, what do you? What is the goal, or is there no goal? You just cause chaos and do whatever you want, or that's the point.
A deal goes wrong, you chop off your pinky finger like every Yakuza, and then you are banished to this place. I don't remember what it's Kachimichi, I think is the name of the place. And it's basically got this legend of any Yakuza that goes there will die. It
Mm,
is you can't leave it. You will once you enter the town, that is it, you're doomed. And you're there trying to drum up money for your family because a deal went wrong. You owe like 10 billion yen
oh
to
boy.
another family. And for some reason, there's just mascots that just exist in this world, and they just this entire town has been picked apart by corruption and tragedy. So you just come in, you end up building this agency up, and just the most absurd shit. Like I'm talking, they turn around and they go, you know, we want to bring people into the town, so go do a mascot event for the train station. So you're like, okay, yeah, that sure, you do like a little viral thing. But when it goes to that, it's a bunch of stacked boxes, and your mascot walks into them, knocks them over, and then they freak out and have an existential crisis, where you then need to do the card battling minigame, try and overcome that challenge, and then it's like, yeah, good job, man, awesome. That is, it's so stupid, but it's so it literally is the things that make Yakuza great is when it's taking itself very, very seriously, but it's so unbelievably dumb at what it's doing, and that is Promise Mascot Agency. It is
I feel
just
like I've learned everything and I've learned nothing. Good. Okay.
that's my point. I 100% of the game, and I couldn't even tell you what the
Okay.
damn genre is. It's fucking
Oh my
absurd.
gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
It's it's really
okay.
it is something else. Like to his point, it is a really hard thing to describe. There's a million different it's doing a million different things and it's kind of doing all of them surprisingly well.
Yeah,
You're
it
Okay.
like,
has
Okay.
no right to do the stuff that it does as well as it does. And just the humor, man. That's something that it just gets so
Hmm.
right. Because you basically have a sidekick the whole time, which is just a pinky finger, and it is just the biggest psychopath going. Like you
Obviously.
have this massive beef with the mayor, and she's constantly like, "Can we drone strike him? Can we like put concrete in his feet and put him out in the ocean?" And you have this like massive thing later on in the game where the pinky finger runs for mayor against him in office, and like towards the end gets the victory speeches and is like, "Nah, shut up, old man, you old geezer. I'm gonna end up
oh
whacking you."
Jesus.
And it's so
Oh,
beautiful of a
this sounds
game.
fantastic. There's a trial on PlayStation I saw and I was like, do I download it or is this just going to break my brain even more? But now I can't wait to try it. So,
It'll
It
break your
really
brain.
is. Yeah, it's something else though. Worth experiencing, man, for sure.
I mean, I haven't played, so I can't say anything. But I adore. I completely. I would have included Split Fiction. I was telling the guys before we started that I forgot it came out this year because there's been so many games. Otherwise, I would have also voted for that because it's. Yeah, it's. I don't need to say anything else. It's truly phenomenal. It Takes Two. I played through with my wife. Split Fiction. We played through together, and she doesn't even like action things or like the shooting or flying. And she adored this game. I adored it. It was. We ultimately liked It Takes Two a little bit more, not because of the gameplay, because like the story, but my goodness, this game, just the things that again, I mean, everyone's probably seen gameplay, but the things that happen, especially towards the end, we're just like, how do you even, how does why? That's the sentence, and yeah,
The Battle of How Does Why.
it's the
It's
battle of how to wise.
perfect.
Yeah, words, man. But yeah, it's just truly just the practices that they allow you just to buy the game and just like share it and play with someone. Again, I know other games do that sometimes, but talk about just a textbook example of consumer forward, pure, unadulterated, fun co-op gameplay. It is, yeah, yeah, anyway, it's phenomenal. So I can't say anything about the other, but my vote would be Split Fiction. Although I can't wait to play Promise Mascot now and lose my mind. So
Yeah, mine would go to Split Fiction as well.
did you play Split Fiction, Loon?
Yeah, we played it together, me and Brandon.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
knew that. Obviously, I follow everything on the channel.
Yeah, we played it. It's definitely yeah, it's a thing of where they you rarely see this nowadays is when a studio has a because he's had this vision since Brothers of just that whole dual story setup kind of thing. I don't know how you'd explain it. Obviously, with Brothers, it was I don't think that was co-op at all. That was single
Mm-mm.
player, and it was each stick was the
Yeah,
character.
correct.
Every game after that, they did the whole co-op thing. Every single one they've done, they've definitely improved. For me, like with you, you said that you preferred It Takes Two. For me, of the games that they've done this way with the three of them, I've A Way Out has been my favorite, but that's because of
Oh, nice.
the
Nice.
more I don't know the storytelling of that is very Shawshank Redemption and stuff like that. So it appeals to me more. But there's no denying that this is a masterpiece of a game.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
But
So
Promise
Cool.
Mascot Agency would be my vote.
I just love that you
I
100%ed it and you still don't understand it. That makes me happy and scared at the
yeah,
same time.
but for me, like it's the thing of I can Split Fiction is definitely the better game of the two, but Promise
Okay.
Mascot Agency is a me game. So I will have to vote for it there, but it
Yeah.
doesn't make me feel bad doing that because the right one goes through anyway.
But that's how these should go, right? We should vote for the ones that like we absolutely. This is the point. It's a catered list to what we like personally. So why would we not do that? Yeah. So I'm glad that you're sticking to your guns on that.
absolutely, man. Yeah. Split Fiction moving on to the next round. And like you said, the ending, even if you have no interest in playing the game, just look up that ending. It's a feat of game design that is like, I sure. I guess you wizards over there somehow cracked this code. Like it's
It
crazy
it's the most creative co-op moment in any game.
ever.
It shouldn't even like just looking at it, you're like this shouldn't
This shouldn't
work.
happen. Yeah,
Someone
it
made
Yeah.
a deal
shouldn't.
with someone and it's not
Yep.
great, but it's great for us. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Like it really does defy the fucking standard logic of game design. I don't want to go into it any more than that, but here we have a really interesting matchup. FBC Firebreak versus Death Stranding 2. I'm a little bit bummed. I downloaded FBC Firebreak yesterday. I was going to jump into it before we did this list. I didn't have time to do it. But I am curious to check it out to some degree. I've heard mixed things on it. Death Stranding 2, I think, is a very, very, very good video game, a much better video game than the first one. One of the most photorealistic, beautiful games to have ever released, if not the most. But it's not a game I really I don't like Death Stranding. The universe, the ideas, the format, nothing about it really lands with me. But I still look at it and recognize like that is a very, very, very well made video game in comparison to the first one. It's much, much better. So this is a weird one because I guess I'm going Death Stranding 2, but I I should have played FBC Firebreak yesterday. I should have tried to sneak in an hour, but unfortunately I couldn't. You
I
have
mean, I'll rip the rug out from under you because I tried to play it, but there's no play base.
hmm,
It is dead on arrival, which is really sad because there is. I ended up booting it up. I played, I think, one match with a team, and it was fun. And then, because that was like the most basic intro mission, so it wasn't even showing the game. And then couldn't get into anything with people, so I had to do it solo. It's a miserable slog to play solo, like you would expect from this type of game. But
hmm,
going through them other missions, I did about three of them. There's a lot of creativity on there. It's just unfortunate that yeah, nobody cares about it. So
yeah.
I'm in the same boat as you, Lou, and I tried it on launch day. And
yep.
again, I like played a couple matches. I'm like, I guess that's it.
Hmm.
Like they're just, and then I know their plan is to maybe update it down the line, but I'm like, is that there's nothing to it. Like it's not inherently bad, but it's just after two or three matches, I'm like, I don't need to. I'm glad I didn't buy this. I don't want to ever play it again. Um, so I've never played Death Stranding 2, so I don't have anything to say on that. Those are just, again, like I said before, there's certain series or games we just don't care about. Like I don't care about Death Stranding, and this may be blasphemy to some people. Like I have no interest in Metal Gear. There's just certain series I just inherently don't have any interest in. Death Stranding's one of them. I think Hideo Kojima is incredibly brilliant. It's just certain games just don't jive. So I don't have anything to say about either of these really, to be honest. So I'll let you guys do the heavy lifting. Thanks.
Death
I'll
Stranding
go with
2.
Death Stranding
Yeah.
Okay.
because I enjoy I actually enjoy Death Stranding as a concept. I just it's a mood thing. It's so unbelievably slow that first game. I haven't obviously played that second game yet, but that first game is very, very slow. So I need to be in the mood for it.
But Brandon, you've played the second one, right? Or no?
Yeah, I played
Okay.
about 6 hours or so of
Okay.
Death Stranding 2, and it definitely picks up, it gets going. It doesn't do that meandering horse shit that the first game does. It really does get to the point a little bit quicker, but I, I don't know what it is. I wish I could really boil it down and explain it to people, but I just do not find that world or those characters compelling. Like I
Yeah.
don't I don't know if it's just so far removed from any sense of realism that I'm just like I have a hard time getting. I
Extremely
don't know.
cryptic with a lot of its messaging and themes and stuff. It leaves a
Mm.
lot open for interpretation, whereas he doesn't really answer anything. A lot of it is just, here's a thought I had, spectral whale kind of
Right.
casual Kojima bullshit that he always does, which I
People love
love.
it though. People
Yep.
love it.
I like, because it's the type of thing you don't get that anywhere else. I think that's why if everybody did that, he wouldn't be special. Um,
Right.
so
And I think it's the idea of Metal Gear Solid. It's a guy, he's got a task, he's going to like it gets crazy, but it's somewhat I can like somewhat buy in on just a very simplified level of okay, there's Snake. And now I'm gonna go and take Snake around, and we're actually gonna do this, and this is all existing. And like I don't know, it's a weird nitpick, but it's just so out there with Death Stranding. But I appreciate it. I'm glad it exists. Titans, Titan's Tale versus Rematch.
This is a fun
So
one. This is going to be an interesting one. What a unique choice of games.
I looked at Trident's Tale, some gameplay of it. Looked really fun. Looked super charming, super cute. Rematch I've put like 40 hours into. I adore this damn video game.
Wow.
Um so yeah, my vote would be Rematch. I've talked enough about Rematch on the channel. We talked about it for like an hour and 30 minutes the other day, but Trident's Tale, Jeffrey, tell me a little bit more about it because I did think it looked good.
Yeah, I'm good for either of these. I've played them both. Real quick with Rematch. Yeah, I've said on the channel, I'm not a sports guy. I don't have any interest in soccer slash football. It's just not my cup of tea. That said, I know you love Sifu because this is from Slow Clap, right?
Yeah.
So I was intrigued to try it out, knowing it's not at all like Sifu, of course, but like because I know how much you love Slow Clap, I tried it on Game Pass. Honestly, I couldn't stop playing it. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it, considering I could care less about sports, like traditional sports. But I played it for probably a good 5, 6 hours the first day, another few hours the next day, and I'm like, why am I playing this? I don't care about this. But it's just because I haven't talked about it with you guys. It's surprisingly just fun. Like it's like Rocket League without the rocket car shenanigans, but like it's just feels good, and you don't have to know about. What I loved is I don't have to know about soccer or slash football to know about this. You can just play it and do fine, or not do fine, still have a good time. Like I would play it and then I would jump out to the main menu and be like, I don't. Why am I playing this? And I would just jump back in and play another one. So it is really fun. But Trident's Tale is very much that sort of PS2, GameCube, Xbox style of game. And I mean that in the best way possible. Now, I'm not going to pretend this isn't a buggy game, a janky game, but what this is, it's a semi, well, it's not semi, it is a very small open world pirate game. It's just a fun, cartoony pirate game. And you play this girl on the front that you see. I forget her name, so that's probably not great. But you play as this pirate girl, and you basically just have this like little narrative about saving your father, and you have your own ship to customize. You go around the open seas. You can jump off when you want. Which you want to know what's funny is playing this little indie pirate game. All I kept thinking about it, because as the idiot that bought Skull and Bones at $70, was how can this indie game allow you to traverse an open world and hop off at ports and then jump back into your ship, do that, but Skull and Bones couldn't? What? And so like the entire time I was just like, how is an indie game managed to do this? Frame rates aren't great. It's very buggy. Combat's pretty simple. It's your third 3D action adventure platforming pirate game. Again, a bit rough around the edges, but honestly, it's about a 15-hour game, and I played it within the span of a few days because it just kept bringing me back because it reminded me of those 2000s era of gaming. Again, rough around the edges, not super polished, but it has a good heart. It has a good little upgrade path and customization. There's naval combat, which is simple but still fun, and the open world is small enough that you can see most of the things within that short amount of time. So I saw a lot of reviews giving this like twos and threes,
Yeah.
which is crazy because it's very much like that 6, 7 out of 10 game. It's not going to blow your socks off, but if you like pirate games, yeah, it's great. It's buggy, but it's great. But I would agree that I think Rematch is the better game. It's just a fun game though. So
Yeah, we're in this interesting period where I think we're going to start seeing more pirate games kind of hit the market. It seemed like a lot of developers had that same inspiration a couple years ago. We're like, yeah, there's not a lot of pirate games out there. Now we're starting to see there's a lot of pirate games hitting the
yeah,
market. But this is one that I do want to check out. So I appreciate you putting it on our radar. Loon, I'm assuming you're still a rematch head.
Yeah, but from what I've just looked up on Trident, that looks good. Looks very good.
I think the
Uh,
bad reviews were because like the original, like the Switch one version, I guess, was like incredibly, like even worse than the others. So I understand that as someone that reviewed games in the past, I get that. But playing it on Xbox, there was a free trial, which I appreciated. It was only a 30-minute trial, but at least allowed you to feel what the game felt like in terms of performance. And I already knew it was going to be a little bit buggy.
yeah.
So I would say go in with somewhat tempered expectations. But if you like those 2000s era of games, there's a lot of charm there. Yeah, but yeah, I would agree with you guys. Rematch for sure. How much time have
Just
you put into Rematch, Loon? Do you know?
uh,
Good amount?
probably about 12 hours.
Nice.
But I will ding it here like I did when we talked about it. They got to patch that thing up, man. It still isn't patched
Hmm.
for the achievements and stuff, which is
Yeah,
tragic.
it is
Um,
weird.
because especially you're launching it on Game Pass as well, so therefore, like at least because this would be my opportunity. There's tons of games that launch on PlayStation who have trophy lists that just work, and then when they make them come over to Xbox, they don't work because they're very lazy when they port over because it's not a priority. I get it,
Hmm.
achievement hunters on the top of the barrel, but they end up porting over the platinum equivalent. Therefore, it doesn't work. You have to do some stuff to make it work. You
Hmm.
can't just do a one-to-one because Xbox doesn't have a platinum equivalent.
Right.
Um, but for some reason, the tracker stops at like 52.
Hmm.
So you have to score 100 goals, and it's just stuck at 52 for a lot of things. It's very weird. It's strange that that hasn't been fixed. That seems like it should be a pretty easy fix. Obviously, again, we're not game developers, but it's a tracker. I think we've figured them out before, so it's a bit strange.
Yeah, and
But
also like they got to kind of fix up some of the cheese. It's it gets to a point where like, dude, okay, if people are, I get it. It's fun to try to break the game and all that, but uh, there is something fun about actually being able to play soccer and not seeing a
Yeah,
guy try to headbutt and climb up the wall and just like play
yeah,
the game all by himself when it's a 5v5 game.
yeah. I give them a little bit of a free pass with it because obviously they haven't tackled like a
yeah,
multiplayer thing. So it's the type of
Totally,
thing where like I can empathize with slow clap in that sense because it's like this isn't you've not had to balance a game in that way before. It's the
true.
type of thing where like we've overlooked that. It's the type of
totally.
you should be adding a delay to them types of repeatable spammy things because having somebody go from kickoff from one side of the arena to the other and then scoring where no other player gets to touch the ball because
Yeah,
it's literally impossible. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's abusable. Probably should fix that pretty damn quick.
can I ask you guys real quick before we move on this one? So what made me actually stop playing this game was I know it was on Game Pass, but the live service stuff in this game really rubbed me the wrong way and put me off. I know you don't have to engage with it but it just the amount the slowness to unlock things, the bugginess with even like what you unlocked or didn't unlock. I just that actually made me completely drop the game. I was like, I'm having fun, but I don't feel like I'm progressing or getting anything. And if I am, I have no idea what I got because it never shows properly, at least on my end. So I guess I'm just curious, like what you guys think about those live servicey elements in a game that, yes, it's on Game Pass, but it's not a free to play game, at least unless I'm mistaken. So
No,
just
it is a paid game. It's
so
only obviously
just
free if you're opting in through Game
right.
Pass.
But I'm just curious what you guys think about that because that's what made me drop the game was like I'm just tired of this live service stuff in a paid game. That just rubbed me the wrong way. So I just stopped playing it altogether. Do you guys have thoughts on that or no?
You can hit it, Lou.
So for me, because I think we spoke about it when we were playing, because we paired up with Panda in the Discord and we played some matches together. I think we both came to the same conclusion. You can obviously step in if I'm saying something that you don't agree with. For me, it scratched that same itch as Rocket League of like I didn't actually even need progress, and that's such a weird thing for me because of me being a completionist. I always need a goal. For the moment, it was also gaining them achievements with Rematch, which was also keeping that propped up. But that gameplay loop just I
Mm.
can have because I picked Rocket League up again earlier this year, having 100% of it because I just wanted something to just play completely unrestricted and not shackled to any meaning. It's just pure fun, and that's how I felt with Rematch and stuff like that. It when we would be booted out, obviously it also helps that the matches are so snappy. You're not in the menus for very long.
Mm.
You're ripped back in. But yeah, I'd agree that the cosmetic stuff is when you're looking at it through that lens, it's also very lacking. There's not much there as well, and what you are unlocking is snail's pace slow.
Yeah.
So I'd empathize with that.
Okay.
I
Cool.
think something that they probably, or I think a cool kind of reward system that they could use, I guess. I don't, so this just hit my brain, but like some sort of player rating where you can rate your teammates after the game and that be like some sort of evolution for your character, like that, because you don't have stats or anything, you know what I mean? But like, I think the primary strength of this game is if you are a good teammate, you typically win. And so I think like that's such a that's a rare feat for sports games in general. So I give it a lot of praise for that. Like you really good teams are going to beat the team with the guy who tries to do everything by himself. So yeah, rematch moving ahead, I'm guessing.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah. But do try out Trident stay on sale one day. I'd love to hear if you guys like that. So
I
It looks
definitely
very
will,
interesting.
man.
nice. What an odd matchup.
Duck Detective, the Ghost of Glamping versus Elden Ring Nightreign. I did buy
Very
that
similar games. Yeah.
I did buy that Duck Detective game. I haven't jumped into it yet.
You
Um,
should.
yeah, I've heard they're incredible. So take it
They're
away,
fun.
Jeffrey.
So this, yeah, so I think I talked about in a video we did a number of months back or whatever, I don't remember, about the first Duck Detective game, the Secret Salami or something like that. They're just this one, Duck Detective: The Ghost of Glamping, just for me shadow dropped like a couple months ago, and it's his follow up to the first game, which, if for anyone that doesn't know, these are little quirky, cute indie games. They're basically a mix of like detective-y mystery games with, hard-boiled cop duck, but also cartoon Saturday morning cartoons, some point-and-click adventure. They're like 3 hours long. They're just like this little bite-sized mystery set in one location. The first game was at like this office, and you have to figure out the secret of the salami. Yeah, it's that silly, but it's so heartwarming. This one is you're at this like campsite, and it's all about glamping, and it's you're the duck detective again, and it's really just trying to solve the mystery of what's going on at this campsite. And it does go into some little bit dark territory, but honestly it's just 3 hours of fun Saturday morning cartoon detectiving and point and clicking. And again, it's one of these games I played through with my wife. We just had such a joy playing through it. It's great writing. You got voice acting, which is fantastic, cartoony characters, enough of a hint system if you get stuck, because it can be pretty tough. The big thing about this game, and compared to other like detective mystery games, is you need to find. Do you guys know Mad Libs? Are you familiar
Yeah.
with Mad Libs, where you have to like you have like the book and you fill in the words? That's like what the detective stuff is here. You have to like uncover words from talking to the different characters, and certain words they give you have to fill in like your notebook, and that'll help figure out who's done it. Basically,
Hmm.
it's really fun, really creative. Is it going to be the best game of the year? Probably not, but
Right.
if you like a simple $10 little mystery game with heart, it's just a joy. The first game is. This one is just as fun. For one of my favorite indies of the year, without a doubt. But I haven't played Nightreign, so I can't speak on that. But it was certainly a lot of fun and just
Yeah.
charming. So
It's interesting because it's being matched up against Night Rain, as you said, and it's you would think all day, every day, Night Rain takes the win here, but it has kind of been a strange situation with Night Rain where it's just not quite sticking. Um, I'm guessing this just isn't what the FromSoft fan base wants, Loon. Or what is
Um,
your takeaway?
so when I booted it up, I played probably about 3 matches of it. I think on my second match, I got literally to the end, and we just failed as a collective group. And that's the thing, is that when you're solo queuing in this game, there is such a lack of communication. I think you can plug in obviously a mic, but for a game like this, you think like Rocket League having, on the D-pad, just having callouts and stuff something like that really should be in Nightreign, and it isn't unless they've patched it in since, but I don't believe they have. It's that kind of like oversight of them doing this, and it's not their bread and butter. This isn't the main Elden Ring team, I don't believe. It is
No.
it is a side team. But at the same time, if you're going to pick it up, like do it right. And for me, a lot of the things they didn't really do right. Um, there are certain people. I have a couple of friends who are constantly playing it like every other week. But for me, it's just I have no interest. I put it in. I've not booted it up since launch day, I
Oh
think.
wow, wow,
Like, and this is like 100% at Elden Ring. Like,
wow.
I love FromSoft games. This to me doesn't do anything. I can respect it for what it is. It's cool that you're bringing these other boss characters from previous, even it's not even just Elden Ring, it's other Souls games bringing them into. That's really cool, interesting concept. I also just don't like the layout of the controls. I don't know if you
No.
can switch them. It just doesn't feel good in my eyes. But there's plenty of people that have really much enjoyed it. But I think for the core, this didn't sell the numbers Elden Ring sold for a very, very obvious reason. It's not what the main majority of fans want.
Yeah. So I'm assuming Jeffrey is taking Duck Detective, Loom taking Nightreign.
No, no,
Uh,
I'll go for Duck Detective.
it's over.
Yay.
Yeah.
Go,
Oh, that makes me so
just
happy.
go for it, man. Like I said, I'm not gonna if
Nice. Yay.
I can enjoy a series, but I'll happily say when I don't enjoy an entry in it.
That's
So,
awesome.
old
But
Duck
Brandon,
Detective.
where were you? But wait, where were you gonna go? But you didn't give us any feedback on either of those. I
Well,
want to know what your feedback is on those.
two votes, but I would have went Duck Detective as well. I mean, I just
Yeah,
don't have any
baby.
interest in Elden Ring at all. But
Me
I
too.
yeah, listen, it's just this is a whole different side tangent. I do find that game really fascinating, and one I want to like really look into more at a later time because I just looked up on SteamDB. It has the same player count right now as Rematch, and it's like
Hmm.
FromSoft. Listen, I love Slow Clap, but you would think that it would be triple. What the Rematch is a little bit newer, but it's just yeah, really it
We're
just didn't seem to stick like their other stuff.
we're very that's the thing. The fan bases of Souls
I'll
likes
be
are
right
very
back.
aware of entries and stuff like that. So this being that glaringly different, like a lot of people wrote it off immediately. They'll watch their preferred Souls YouTuber and stuff like that and be like, yeah, this isn't for me. And also the fact that they hammered home, like I think they had to patch it in like a week later to make solo play actually playable for the most part. It was very, very difficult to be able to like play on your own. Which, when you're talking about Souls like that's the whole point for the most part. It has co-op elements, but you should be
Yeah,
able to beat them games on your own.
right. Yeah, it's uh I don't want to sit here and rain on the Elden Ring parade because everybody already knows I'm biased against it. But the next matchup we have is pretty much just you versus you. I think Assassin's Creed Shadows versus Monster Train 2.
Oh, did it land? Did neither of you play over these?
I played Assassin's
Why?
Creed Shadows.
Oh, yeah.
Remember? Yeah, I
But
played
you
about two
don't
of
have
those.
a you don't have a favor of it. Man, I get to
Yeah.
fight against myself. Ooh.
If you end up going Monster Train 2, I'll probably it wouldn't be hard to convince me to pick that one, but I don't know. I do like Shadows a lot. Well, no, I don't. I do like elements of Shadows a lot. Like I do think some of the gameplay on offer that you can pull off is really cool. I just wish there were more opportunities to kind of see some of that cool shit. But mechanically, like yeah, they got some good stuff going on there, but where would you be leaning?
Yeah, we've obviously talked about Shadows. It definitely falls down the pecking order for me. Odyssey is still of that new era of breed of Assassin's Creed games, still tops it.
Right.
There's elements in Shadows I really do like, but the big glaring issue, like when you're fighting the environment, which the whole point of a Ubisoft open world is to be able to scale, traverse, and stuff like that. So when you're being discouraged by that by constantly sliding down surfaces, it's infuriating, man. Because you're placing all these collectibles everywhere, but it feels like you have to follow the strict path. So what's the point in making it open world? Like it's baffling. Like that seems like a design collision
Right.
of ideas. Like stick to the path, don't go off the beaten path. But have a look at this massive world that we've like. It's nonsensical. But and there's elements like we spoke about earlier this year where the story is just unfinished. It doesn't have an ending. So come on, man.
Yeah.
Monster Train 2. You've not played either Monster Train games, I'm assuming. It's
I
not card
haven't.
games aren't really your thing. 100% Monster Train 1, absolutely loved it. Really, really good deck building roguelike. I like probably about 80% of Monster Train 2's ideas and philosophies as to what they've got cooking up. There's a few things that I think they've dropped the ball on a little bit. This has got really strong reviews, which kind of surprised me because I love these games and stuff. Maybe people feel like they don't get enough of them, and that's maybe why it's bumping up a little bit. I think it's being a little bit lenient on it. I don't think it's. I prefer Monster Train 1 to Monster Train 2, but that's where I'll toss my vote. I wouldn't. I think Shadows is very, very flawed for what it is,
Okay.
unfortunately. Which
So,
Monster Train 2 has its flaws, but it's as an overall product, it does it a lot better.
okay. So leaning Monster Train 2 over Assassin's Creed Shadows. I I'll throw my vote to Shadows just to have it there to have a one-to-one kind of, allow Jeffrey to come in here
Uh-oh.
and
Oh
be
no.
the final vote.
I have to be the
Putting him
final
on the spot,
vote.
he gets the final vote after not hearing anything I have to
Yeah, I was gonna say I have to vote
say.
after I didn't hear anything. How am I supposed to vote on nothing I heard? Oh boy.
So
Duck
Which
it,
cover
Detective.
looks cool?
Duck Detective again.
have you played either Monster Train 2 or Assassin's Creed Shadows?
I have
So
not.
here's kind of the thing. Loon likes Shadows a good deal. Not quite on par with like Odyssey, but still likes it a good deal. I think mechanically Shadows is awesome. Um, and then your take on Monster Train 2 would be you like the first one a little bit more, but you still really, really enjoy Monster Train 2.
Yeah, already put I think 10 hours into Monster Hunter. It's an incredible, well-built roguelike deck builder. It's just some things fall a little bit short when you're yeah. Maybe it's because I don't understand the changes to mechanics just yet. Maybe that's where it falls into. But I don't know. I would choose Monster Hunter over Shadows.
I'll go with Shadows. So I'll let
Oh
Jeffrey
no.
with your this is
I'm
kind
not
of the
prepared for
beauty.
this.
This is the beauty of it. You get to come in here and make sweeping judgments about games that we pitched horribly to you.
Well, to be fair, I missed most of it, I suppose. So you can repitch it again if you want, but
No, you're
no,
fine,
no one wants
man.
to pitch it again. Okay.
It's
Um,
It's a win either way for me. I like both of these
okay.
games, so it doesn't. It's no biggie.
I just again, I'm always. I mean, I assume Monster Train. That's an indie, right? I just don't. I remember seeing the first one, but I don't know anything about it. So it is an indie, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I don't. I just don't know enough about Monster Train. The only thing I know about is I've seen some like YouTube people have it as a sponsor that maybe rubbed me the wrong way. I don't know. Not that that matters, but no. In all seriousness, though, I think as much as I like supporting all the indies, I'm gonna go with. Would you stop moving it over both? You're making me nervous. I think I'm gonna go with Shadows only because Ubisoft sucks a lot. We know that, but I appreciate that they at least had some forethought or foresight or whatever word you want to use to delay the game to at least try to get it in as good a state as possible. Because although I haven't played it, everything I heard is they at least the game looks great, runs great.
yeah.
There's really not many issues, which for Ubisoft, much like Loon, you were saying about EA and the originals and trying to do that, I think that should be applauded because that's rare for them to do that. So I do want to give the leg up that for most people, it sounds like they enjoyed the experience, even if it wasn't exactly a traditional AC game, you know? So I like indies. I'd love to support Monster Train, but I think for that reason alone, I do want to give the nod to Shadows. Um, yeah.
Yeah. I think that
So
you
I
got
don't,
it. You got to give praise too as well. Like you said, it's a massive open world. It looks great, other than the character design, but like the world itself looks great. It runs pretty damn smooth. Like it's a well-made video game, really well-made video game.
Cool.
Speaking of well-made video games, Monster Hunter Wilds versus Fantasy Life, the girl who steals time. So this Fantasy Life game has kind of taken on a humongous sort of swell of support and fanfare and people jumping in. And this has been one of those weird, unexpected, out of nowhere breakthrough hits of the year. And Jeffrey, I know you've played a little of it, so kind of pitch this to me.
So I would kind of resist that a little bit in saying it's a surprise because there was a first Fantasy Life that came out on the 3DS.
Oh, okay.
So the first Fantasy Life, it was just called Fantasy Life, came out on the Nintendo 3DS. I do have that game. It's from, boy, is it level five? I'm pretty sure it's level five. Level five, who makes many JRPG type games, or did. The first Fantasy Life on 3DS was phenomenal. It was very well received. I don't know how much it sold, but it was a very good life sim RPG where the whole point of the game is to take on these various lives, whether you're a combat guy, a magician, or a magic user, or a tailor or a woodcraft or whatever. There's all these different lives, but what's cool about it is you can intersperse and pick up all of them, pick up a few of them, and get better at them. And it's a mix of role playing and life sim. So there was quite a bit of fanfare going into this new one. But to your point, Brandon, I don't think many people thought it was going to be as good as it is, especially on Switch 2, where I guess they did like a very cheap upgrade path of like $2 to make it so it's the better experience, which should be lauded again. But basically, this new version is kind of more of the same from the 3DS version. You have these various islands and worlds that you can explore, kind of semi-open world. But it's this really nice kind of fantasy story about figuring out why there's these gaps in time from 1,000 years apart, where the island is like one island and then it's a different island in 1,000 years, but there's the same people. So it's a really cool fantasy story about time travel and this dragon. But what really makes the game fun is the gameplay. You love variety, Brandon, and that's what's really cool about Fantasy Life I is that there's 14 lives. You can pick up all of them at one time if you want, or you can pick up just a few. And so as you're going about the world exploring, if you want to go up and chop a tree, it automatically switches to that. If you go into a combat encounter, it automatically switches to that. If you want to start cooking, it automatically switches to that. So it streamlines all of these cool life sim RPG elements into one streamless or seamless system essentially, and you're leveling up. You have these huge skill trees for every single life. You have side quests. It's just a robust RPG on top of like a life sim and a life system. So I only picked it up on a whim because I heard about it on a podcast, and although I had known about it from the previous game, I wasn't planning to buy it, but I heard enough good things about it and bought it, and it's just a joy of a game to play. Super duper polished, a lot of fun, great story, great side quests. The live systems is fun. You basically never get bored. There's always something new to do and explore. So, yeah, it's a truly phenomenal game. I haven't played Monster in a while, so won't have anything to say about that, but I would vote for that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I would be putting my vote there as well. I played Monster Hunter Wilds for 10, 15 hours, something like that. I've found it truly unremarkable. I think it's once again a very well made game, undoubtedly. But even just that quick snippet of me looking up a trailer right here, like this just looks infinitely more varied than what you can get in a Monster Hunter game. And just yeah, it looks really, really solid. So I would go Fantasy Life over Monster Hunter as well.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting. Like you said, the job system that they've got going there, which you usually see in like a JRPG, but to have it, man, they should really do that a lot more. To have it automatically just shift and just allow you to earn XP, because that's the thing, isn't it? When you have job systems in JRPGs, you have to bring up a menu, unequip it. Oh, all my gear. That's the night gear. Now it sometimes doesn't put in the best chef gear for or stuff like that, and it's just such a ball ache sometimes. So to
Mhm.
have that automatically just be so seamless, that sounds incredible. Is that only available on the Switch?
No,
No, I have it on PS5. So it's on PlayStation, Xbox, Switch, PC. I think it's on everything, basically. I was just highlighting the Switch version because a
Okay.
lot of these Switch versions are having to charge a lot or buying the completely separate game. Whereas here, they're like,
Hmm.
hey, just buy it, and just a couple bucks, you get the better version. But on PS5, it runs amazingly well. It's just, and it's a big game. There are huge islands, huge worlds to explore. It's not a small game by any means, but yeah, Loon, that whole point about switching automatically is huge because even most life sim games that aren't RPGs struggle with that. You have
Mm,
to take out your axe, you have to take out your fishing rod. That can be cumbersome. Whereas here, it
yeah.
just automatically switches and you get the XP for the right life path, which is really nice.
So we're moving ahead with Fantasy Life. Y'all good with that?
Yeah, I have bones to pick with Monster Hunter as well, like you do, and in the
Yeah.
ways that like I still find it completely baffling. We played, not we as in me and you, but me and a friend played Monster Hunter World, and it's some of the most cumbersome co-op to try and get off the ground. I've never understood why they make it so difficult. It's just the thing of like, why can't you just invite your friend and just play the damn game together? Like, why is it got to be, oh, if you've done one quest above them, nope, that's it. You can't interact. It's so puzzling to have a multiplayer centric game like that and it be so obtuse. Um,
Yeah.
and also, I just didn't like. I prefer the feel of World personally with the combat.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I didn't find, I found the gameplay to be like, all right. After the first couple hours, it's like, I get it. I get it. Um, so this is a matchup, Jeffrey, of two of your heart and soul picks. I'm assuming you're leaning south of midnight over moving houses, or am I wrong on that?
Yeah, I'd be. Can I real quick just ask one more thing about Monster Hunter Wilds because I am curious because I never played it. I heard that Monster Hunter Wilds is a lot more streamlined to try to get more people in the door, but in doing that, it makes it more too simple. Is that true? Not true? I'm just curious if you guys, because I haven't played really any Monster Hunter games, so
Um, it's funny because I think I have the same view set that you have with like Kingdom Come, Brandon. I think it's the type of thing where people blow it a little bit out of proportion of being a lot more complex. I don't think any Monster Hunter games particularly. You go out, you smack something, it breaks a bit of horn, and you come back and you make a weapon. Like how? Like I'm so like that's just me being extremely blunt. To me, that how is that in any way, shape, or form complex?
yeah, fair.
It's pretty self-explanatory, but I don't think that they streamlined much. I think it's the
Okay.
same kind of thing. It just the I couldn't get on with they have like a lock-on aiming thing, and I didn't particularly like it
Yeah, I
that
thought that
much.
was really bizarre.
Yeah,
Like it felt like you weren't playing the game kind of at
yeah.
certain times. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Cool. Sorry, derailed. I was just curious because I'm not. This is one of those series I just never really played. So
Yeah. No, I
play
haven't played
World.
it. South of Midnight Moving Houses though. Like I said, I assume you're going South of Midnight. I would lean South of Midnight here. Am I correct in assuming you're South of Midnight camp on this one?
yeah, I'm okay with either. They're both again very different, but I mean, as far as the games I think about more, it's South of Midnight. It's a game I want to go back to again. So yeah, I would go South of Midnight. So what are you guys? You're thinking South of Midnight, Loon. What about you then?
I didn't touch either of them.
Well, I guess it
Of the
doesn't matter
two,
then,
I
but
would probably be what I would base my vote on is probably South of Midnight because it would be what I would more likely end up playing next.
makes
That's
sense.
in Game Pass. So
Yeah, Game Pass.
Split Fiction versus Death Stranding 2. This is a very, very, very easy one for me. I'm going Split Fiction over Death Stranding 2 all day, every day, twice on Sunday. How do y'all feel about that?
What about you, Loon?
it's the type you have a lot more like love for Split Fiction, and I enjoyed it. Of the thing of like if there was Death Stranding 1 versus Split Fiction, I would probably go with Death Stranding 1. So I'll just toss my vote to Death Stranding. I'll give it a nod to Kojima. It's the type of thing like I respect Split Fiction for what it was. I enjoyed our time with it, but it's them types of like gameplay styles that don't. They're not. I would much rather have mechanics and systems. That's just how my brain's wired. So,
That's fair.
but it is a phenomenal game as to what it achieved.
Yeah.
Both of them are, to be fair.
I'm going to go with Split Fiction. I mean, yeah, that for me is when I was saying that I think there's nothing that's going to match up in Expedition 33. I forgot about that. So it's just truly special. So
Yeah, I
Funky
completely
fetus
agree.
fools, unfortunately.
Rematch versus Duck Detective. I would be in the rematch camp on this one. This once again is really, really high up there for me for my favorite games of the year. Might even be like, yeah,
Wow.
I don't know. It's up there. So that I would be in that camp. Jeffrey,
I'm Duck Detective. Yeah, rematch was fun, but the live service stuff really put me off. So
got you.
it's all
Loon.
you, Loon.
Go.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. It's again, it was a fun game. Don't get me wrong,
Mhm.
but so
Rematch
okay.
moves on to the next round, and we have Assassin's Creed Shadows versus Fantasy Life I. This is, you know what? I feel like I'm saying my vote too early. I'm going to kick it over to Loon. Hit me with your vote for Fantasy Life I
Fantasy
versus
Life.
Assassin. Fantasy Life? Okay.
Yeah, it just sounds like much because when I'm talking what we was talking about with the job system, just being able to just change like that's immediately piqued my interest of just you think of how 100% Shadows. There's probably about 5 hours of that like entire journey of me being in their menu switching out gear. Like it's absurd.
Yeah,
Like, come on, man.
I will be curious if you play that game because I do want to hear what you think about Fantasy Life based on that. Since you like the 100% things, it's a game that's easy to do in the sense of not easy to do, but it's
Mm.
easy because you can keep track of those things, is what I mean.
Oh,
So,
hell yeah. Give me more.
um, Brandon, well, I mean, I'm going to go with Fantasy Life, but I haven't played Shadows. To be fair,
yeah,
I do want to play it. I just haven't yet. So for me, Fantasy Life has just been a huge gem that I didn't expect this year. So
totally. That's 2-1.
cool.
It goes through.
Yeah, suck at Shadows. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I want to play that.
Here we have a really, really tough one. South of Midnight
Is it?
versus Split Fiction. Well, I don't know because you said that South of Midnight's one of your favorite games of like the last 10 years. So that is high, high, high praise for South of Midnight. So I don't know. Where would you be leaning?
Well, but I could have 50 favorite games too.
True, true, true,
To like Loon's, like, right, you were saying you love Kingdom Come Deliverance, but that doesn't necessarily mean it breaks the top 50.
true.
No, I love South Midnight, but Split Fiction is going to be the win for me. That just brought too much joy. And again, playing with my wife, games, if you play them co-op, are often connected. So that brought us closer together in a different way, as cheesy as that is. So Split Fiction for me. What about you guys?
Split Fiction.
Okay.
Yeah,
Where,
I can't toss my vote to South of Midnight having not played it.
but go listen to the music, Loon. Even if you don't play the game, you'll love the music. It's so good.
That's definitely one I'm going to be diving into later this year.
Cool.
It's the thing of I'm not in a rush as well because it is a Microsoft studio.
Yeah,
It's not
it'll be
going
there.
anywhere.
Oh,
So
yeah. Good point. Good point.
This is going to be interesting. Rematch versus Fantasy Life I. I could see Loon being persuaded on this one. I'm curious. I'm curious. Jeffrey, I'm sure you're going Fantasy Life.
Yeah, again, I really liked Rematch. I did. It's just, yeah, it didn't have the staying power as for me as Fantasy Life. So I'm okay with either, but it's gonna come down to you guys, obviously. So I Fantasy Life for me. Yeah.
Well, I'll throw my vote to Rematch and then let Loon be the deciding factor.
Yep, makes sense.
yeah, I'm really interested in that Fantasy Life, but it'll be Rematch.
Yeah, fair,
Fantasy
totally,
Life is a wish list for sure, and it's
totally.
shooting up there.
I call for
Oh
Rematch,
boy.
please. Unacceptable.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh my God.
Existential crisis here. Yeah.
Split Fiction versus Rematch. I gotta take a second on this one to think. I'll let
Loon, you go first. I want to get Loon's first take on this.
Oh, that's cruel.
Well, it's too bad. It's your
Rematch.
channel, as you
It
said.
it's yeah, Rematch.
You're going Rematch. Okay. Well, I guess you're going to end up being the decider, Brand. I'm going Split Fiction without a doubt. So,
fuck.
That's a heartbreak. You should have gone first.
I should have
you
gone
could have,
first.
gone, but you stalled there, man. It's your fault. You should have chosen. So, yeah. Well, we got one
God,
Rematch, one Split Fiction, either the better game or the less better game. So, oh, shots fired.
this sucks, man. This is brutal. I
Is it?
It is tough, Jeffrey.
Okay, okay. Well, let's talk this through because I want to hear where your brain is. Because like, what makes it so tough? Like, let's break it apart. Because if it's tough, what's making it super tough for you is these games. Go.
It's kind of the weird thing where Split Fiction and Rematch are kind of doing the same thing in their own weird way. Rematch, on one hand, is
Are
taking
they?
a sport that has been around forever and totally putting a new spin on it where you're controlling one character over the shoulder as if you were playing a Sifu, a God of War, or whatever, like a third person action adventure game, but you're playing a soccer game. They're taking the concepts from a Rocket League and then having that full agency and control over just one player. And then on the other hand, with Split Fiction, I genuinely do think this is one of the only games that has ever been created that could possibly restore the attention deficit disorder crisis that we're experiencing around the world right now. Like, I know that sounds crazy, but I don't think that if you put Split Fiction into a 14, 15-year-old's hands who have had their brain totally wrecked by short form content, I still think they'll be able to grasp this and go, "Oh, this is incredible," because it's just going and going. And like, I don't know, this is the first time I've seen a game that's been created where I'm like, I, there's something there that like they cracked a code that I don't think anyone else has cracked for the future generations that are going to have to come in and support this hobby, because we're a dying breed. Like, we're not going to be around forever. The kids growing up, they got to find the core console experience, those style of games. They're just fading to the background as people continue playing Fortnite and, continue playing
And
these
Rematch.
instant. Right.
Touche, touche. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, both of you, but the passion that I got from you from both those was seemingly lied more on Split Fiction, but that's just me. That's the way the passion that you, again, Loon, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just because I'm going to be shooting for Split Fiction here. So you got to fight your side, but I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, but there are still other sports games. Yes, this one's unique, but you can still go play another game. You can't really play a game like Split Fiction anywhere else. Like, there are co-op games, but they're not games that
Yeah.
do the diversity that Split Fiction does.
No, of course not. The
So
thing that I'd keep in mind though is that because you were talking about it, Brandon, of like you're not going to be able to jump back in to Split Fiction
Why?
as well.
why?
It's so because he doesn't have somebody to grab back in. It's a forced co-op experience. It's
Hi,
so
you can
hard
invite
to.
me.
Oh, there goes
No, yeah,
Jeffrey.
I got I
Jeffrey.
got people that'll jump
So
in to play Split Fiction with me.
How
no, but
dare
that's
you,
a
Loon?
that's a lot harder to convince that and time that together than just booting up a game of Rematch and
Oh,
playing on
right,
your
right,
own.
right.
That's
Yeah.
that's the comparison I'm giving of that's where I'm leaning to it. Like I enjoyed Split Fiction, but it's such a harder thing to set up these Hazelight games. Like they're great, but look at the games that came before. You didn't finish A Way Out, right? Or
See,
It
that's
Takes
the
Two.
thing is like, I don't think that I'll like, unless I'm playing with someone who's dedicated like you, like Jeffrey, or somebody who wants to play through the entire thing. Like, I've played all of their other games, but it's hard to convince someone to see it through.
Mm.
That
Yeah.
that is definitely an issue. And I will say, like, they have acknowledged that and they're like, yeah, we're gonna have to make a single player game for our next one, like single player and multiplayer co-op. But
Yeah, give
it,
it as an option. Yeah.
yeah, so I do see that.
But the counter to that point is like there are certain games you just not that you don't want to play it again, but you don't necessarily need to play it again. Like you've had the experience, right? I'm not saying you shouldn't play it again, but there are certain games where it's
No,
like I've
exactly.
done it.
Yeah,
It's great. I
that's
don't need to play it again. Rematch eventually will get old. I mean, eventually it just will.
Yep.
Every game eventually does one day.
Yep.
um
You don't think so?
yeah, well, for me, like I've played I could probably call it probably 600, 700 hours of Rocket League.
But
Like
eventually you're gonna not play anymore. You don't think?
I've gone back to it and stuff like that. There's
Okay.
when the gameplay is this sticky and stuff like that. It's the type of thing where some people do just have that. Do they play NBA every single year? And it's
Yeah.
just it becomes comfort food. It's like me with Football Manager. Like that, you could say that literally that is just spreadsheets. I'm just looking at numbers and things playing out. Yet every single year I'm putting 800 hours into it.
Sure.
And as long as they keep releasing it, I'm gonna keep doing it because it's just comfort food. Whereas for me, I'll never. I can say this with certain. I will never go back to Split Fiction. I've seen everything I wanted to see, and I'm done with it.
Which isn't
Whereas
a
with
bad thing though.
Rematch, I
That's
would
not
I
a
would
bad
give it
thing
the
though.
edge of I will probably keep going back to it. But
Okay.
that's just me personally. I can understand why you would vote it because it's the better game in my opinion. But it's my warm-ups
Yeah.
to it.
I gotta go Split
Mhm.
Fiction. It's what you just said there kind of because I just thought about Red Dead Redemption 2, where it's like I I'm so satisfied with that experience of Red Dead Redemption 2 that like I would love to go back to it at some point if I can find a free 100 hours, but it's like that experience is
Get through
that's
the intro.
right.
Touche.
Yeah, that experience is kind of cemented as like the, the Last of Us. I even feel it's not as big of a game, but it's like sometimes just that one, and a lot of split fiction, it doesn't necessarily a replay doesn't the surprise of that first time of like they did this and that, like that's a big part of split fiction. So I'm gonna go split fiction. Um, on that one. And also because Rematch, they still have a lot they need to fix. So that's not really fair because we're talking about years and years. We can come back to this conversation and maybe it's like Rematch is totally a different game and you got, upgrade trees and all sorts of crazy progression. But
Or a
I
dead
mean,
game.
tip of the hat to Split Fiction though, with what they pulled off in that final section of the game, and it didn't run like shit. So quite
Yeah.
simply,
right,
come on, slow clap.
right. Okay, guys, here we are. This is you know what? Before we jump into this, I want to give a quick overview so that the viewers at home can
I choose Duck Detective.
downsize our screen here where you can, well, kind of see. It doesn't let me necessarily zoom out all that much, but just kind of going through it. This is the mess that has been made over the course of the last 3 hours of
The
us sitting
bodies
here.
strewn over the battlefields.
The blood, sweat, and tears, the anger, the hatred towards each other.
And it results in the grand finale.
Dun dun dun.
Split Fiction versus Expedition 33. And I don't even know where to begin on this one. This is another brutal one. I am gonna take the cop out and I'm
Wait,
just gonna pitch the ball to y'all
no, no,
first.
no, no, no. I think to make this fair, since I think this, well, I don't know if it's going to be tough for everyone, but I don't know about actually, Loon. I'm not sure if it'll be tough for you, but I wonder if we should do like a draw straws thing because someone may end up having to be a deal breaker. So I don't think we should just. I don't know, man. That's too much power for you, Brandon, just to shove it out like that.
Okay, true.
You're
That
kind of
is
being
true.
not very courageous, courteous to your guest here. You know.
That is very true. Okay, well, how should we line it up then? Should
I don't know.
we? I could go and create a wheel for us real quick if y'all want to do it that way.
I'm just trying to make it a lot more intense because someone may end up being a deal breaker. I don't know though. Maybe not though. So,
No, I think you're right. A wheel generator would.
Loon, what are your thoughts? You haven't shared anything. You have some sneaky thought in the back of your head. I feel it. I feel it sneaking out.
I already know what I'm tossing my hat
Oh,
to.
okay. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we'll
Well,
throw
then we
this
don't
wheel
have to do
in.
this if Loon already knows, Brandon. It's fine.
Oh shit. Let me hold on. Well,
No, it's
we'll
okay. We don't have to do all this. Who's Charles and B? Who are these people, man? Who's
so
Fatima?
hold on. I gotta
My name's
customize
not
the
Hannah.
I gotta customize the
It's
wheel
not
real quick.
Fatima. We have a winner. All right, Fatima. Fatima, go first.
How do I oh shit. Okay. Probably
Let's
not
just
the
not do this.
all right, we'll cancel the wheel.
This is a terrible idea. I'm so sorry I threw it out there. Someone flip a coin.
So
Loon.
how about this? How about we no, I think the wheel's a great idea, actually. Let's do that. Let's go. Let's do the wheel.
After all that, Loon, you're just sitting here like knowing what you're already going to pick. It doesn't
I
matter.
think to the right, where the listed names are. If you to the
Or
right,
wait, why don't we just each choose a
List.
name off of this of who we're going to be?
there you go.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I had my screen was covering it. My bad, guys.
Yeah.
We could also just choose a name off there. Is fine
Yeah, we
too.
just pick
I
Fatima.
want to be Fatima, please.
All right. So
Let's just do one name, whoever wins. Oh, we're getting a Crown
Loon.
Royale, Crown Royal ad there.
All right.
Loon BG.
Loon BG. All
How
right.
come? How come I
Loon
don't get
does
the rest?
like Baldur's Gate. That is true. I win.
Hey, you win. That means you already say what you already wanted to say.
All right. So the first pick is gonna go to
Dude, that is pretty funny after all that. You already knew what you wanted anyway. Loon, hey.
all right,
Good jo-
Saloon is getting the first pick. And the second pick is going to go to, oh geez, this is right in
Yeah,
the
this is
middle.
great. Fantastic. So I got to be the deal breaker if there is one.
I think it's okay. So I'm second.
I think
Okay.
it is going to be the deal breaker
So
as
I'll
well.
be the deal
I
breaker
think
if it comes to that.
we both
Interesting.
love these games, and I think our minds are already made up where we toss our
Yeah,
votes.
I already actually know where I'm voting. I just wanted to make this more dramatic. So you're welcome, Brandon.
Interesting. Okay. So we have our we're locked in. Loon, you're the first pick on the board, my friend. How are you selecting?
Look, man, I like Joseph Ferris. He's a cool guy, but he ain't no SKA, I'm afraid. And I'm gonna have to go and say wee woo all the way to Expedition 33.
Only if you say it
Um,
like he does. Go. Wee.
it is a wee. It is a wee. I think Brandon is going to be ended up leaving feeling a little bit woo,
I don't know.
unfortunately.
I actually don't know where you're going to go, Brandon, to be honest. I kind of knew you were going there, Loon, but I have no idea where you're going, Brandon, to be honest with you. But to be fair, you might not know where I'm going either. So,
It's so tough, man. It's so,
Out
so
of nowhere,
tough
Mario Kart World comes out of nowhere.
yeah, exactly.
because it's like Expedition 33, that turn-based combat is something else. As somebody who just does not give a shit about turn-based combat 99% of the time, I was enamored with the systems on offer with 33 and just how fluid and fun and engaging that combat was. But I just don't think it's as good of a video game as Split Fiction. Like if I'm just comparing the two and I'm like Split Fiction it's just something else. It is truly as is 33 for sure, but like on every conceivable front. I mean, from the pinball sections to the motorcycle sections to obviously the literal splitting of fiction. Once again, just look up that ending, but there's just stuff that happens in this game where those moments will stick with me forever. Trying to dive through the damn pool floaties and just like these worlds that they're the Hogwarts style fucking fantasy world where you're waving a wand and turning into these different inanimate objects and running around and the Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and like there's just all of these different influences that you feel in this game and like how they're able to bring to life so many different worlds, so many different mechanics, so much variation with boss fights. Like it's crazy what was pulled off here. So I got to go Split Fiction.
There you go. That was a yeah. Again, usually you can tell someone's where they're leaning by the amount of passion and when they're trying to say something. It's pretty obvious with you when you're talking about two games. So I'm going Mario Kart World. So here we go. We need a fourth person. No, I'm going Split Fiction.
Okay.
Now, so it's funny when I was saying everything about Expedition 33 being on the left, it's because I completely forgot about Split Fiction from this year. I adore Expedition 33. I do. It's a phenomenal game. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I'm like you, Brandon. Turn-based isn't my jive, but just I usually avoid turn-based battles if I can. Here, I sought them out
Yeah.
because just the parrying and I remember all the different things you can do. I'm forgetting, but it was all amazing. But Split Fiction, for me, I tie video game times to times in my life and who I'm with if it's a co-op game. And playing that game with my wife was just one of the most memorable, fun things. And I enjoyed the solo time with the Expedition 33. It's a truly standout game, and I can't wait to see what they do. But the game that brought more joy for me was Split Fiction. So for me, gaming is joy if possible. So
And
Split Fiction, baby.
I don't think Split Fiction's story isn't incredible. I will throw that knock against it, but I don't
It's
think it
not.
also gets enough credit for just like some of the themes it's touching on. And certain moments of that story hit way harder than I ever expected, even for it not to be like a story focused game. I don't think the story is quite as bad as some people make it out to be. Like I've heard certain podcasts where they go in and they're like, you know, trashing the story. And I'm like, okay, it's not great, of course, but they have some emotional beats in there. So shout out to
Yeah,
that.
I can see
agreed.
why, they pick it apart a little bit more comparatively to the previous two games that definitely seemed to have a little bit stronger, more narrative wise, and especially with It Takes Two, I think there's a lot more pulling of the heartstrings across the board and stuff like that. That was tackling a very serious issue, and a lot of people just so happen to be partners that played through it, so it's probably hit them a lot deeper of being like, oh, maybe if our relationship is a bit rocky, we can kind of relate to that in some degree. And with It Takes, not It Takes Two, A Way Out being the cool little, like I said, Shawshank Redemption tip of the hat to story wise. I can understand why people are a little bit soured on Split Fiction, but I think with Split Fiction, it more was but the stories you created yourself with your
Yeah.
co-op partner more than anything. Like there was that overarching thing, of course, that was kind of tragic when they revealed it. But like you said, with just us in that pool, for instance, and just pissing around trying to get into the rings and stuff, them types of thing, the hot dog section, are just them moments where you have with each other and just
Yeah.
enjoying that time.
100%. And like that line that was dropped, once again, I don't want to spoil it, but the whole idea of like, I have to write you to be a certain way in my fiction because I can't see you that way in real life. That's one of the more like hard-hitting lines of the
Mm.
year. And I know stories aren't told in lines, they're told in like totality after you look back on it, but just as an individual line, that was such a well-written thing. So
Yep.
Split Fiction, the 2025 Game and Ramble Game of the Year at the halfway point. We shall
Mhm.
see. We got a lot of good stuff on the way. I would love to, Jeffrey, to have you back, man, at towards the end of the year, and we'll do a full round of the playoffs
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to do it again because I didn't expect I expected in my mind going into this, it was going to be Expedition 33. But then, as things play out, as we hear things from both the other people, like hearing from you guys and your passions about games, your interest, the games I didn't know about that you've taught me about, like that's the most fun part of this, I think. Just getting
Mm,
those different perspectives, I appreciate that. So thanks for having me, guys. It was awesome being on the channel
Absolutely.
and doing that with you guys. It was so fun.
Yeah, dude, and I appreciate the recommendations. I don't know where the hell they went. Okay, yeah, here the
in
like
one
like
ear and out the other.
Wah,
my
wah.
I added a bunch of stuff to my wish list here. The Trident's Tale, Moving Houses, Lost in Random, Fantasy Life I. Like these are all games I really didn't know much about. Now they're all on my wish list. So I appreciate you sharing that wisdom with me, my friend.
Yeet,
And
yeet.
Loon, I appreciate you for hopping in here and rambling away with us for 3 hours, my good friend.
God, did it in
Repres
3 hours?
3 hours.
Representing Binding of
Damn.
Isaac. That is Binding of Isaac, right?
Absolutely. That is
Representing the
Isaac.
indie games.
Yep.
You
Yes,
nice.
sir. Yes, sir. So, we'll obviously a lot of stuff on the way for the channel. Make sure to lock in, subscribe. If you want to support, you can head on over to Patreon and do it that way, or join the YouTube membership program. I'll probably be releasing this video. We're recording this on the 8th of July. I'll probably be releasing it shortly hereafter, probably the next week, just because it is kind of that mid-year game of the year sort of discussion. I want to get it up in a timely manner. I know we have a bunch of videos that we've created that we haven't released yet, but just since this is somewhat, you kind of gotta have it in that mid-year period. I don't want to release it in fucking September or something, but
And because
The
Bonanza,
31st of October.
31st of October. And because Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out on the 17th. And honestly, for me, that's probably going to be one of my games of the year, at least so far. So getting it out before those things makes sense. But what
very
do I
good
know?
point.
I'm just a weirdo. So
That's a really good point, actually. Yeah, and
that I'm
there's
a weirdo? Yes, I am.
um, but yeah, we'll definitely we'll hop back in here and do this again towards the end of the year. Check out all the links and all the stuff. It'll be in the description. We thank you, we thank you, we thank you, and we shall see you good people very, very soon.
Bye
Goodbye.
bye.
See you later.
All right, guys,
Cool, cool.
that was fun as hell. I'm